All right, we're live. Before we start, first of all, thank you everyone so much for coming. It hasn't been too long, actually. Last week, I think it's actually been a week today. I was over on Ryan Benjamin's channel. We had a great time. If you haven't seen it, check it out. I know a lot of you guys were there, and thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. That was a great time. I learned some things that I actually want to use on this one. So I think that should be fun. I don't have my face camera. So I just went with a big wide layout. You can actually see my microphone in the shot a little bit, and you can see my layout. So there's that, you know, at least it's in there. But yeah, I fought with that microphone for a couple hours today, or the camera for a couple hours. I reset it up on another stand and unplugging it and plugging it back. Anyway, whatever. I just decided the most important thing is, you know, here anyway. So yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We're drawing Dark Claw today, and I am using, this is Image Comics paper. I got this from Dan Fraga. He sent me some, which was so nice of him. I haven't drawn on image paper in probably 15 years. A long time. I had just a little bit left over years after I left Image, and I didn't use it because this stuff is so precious. It's the best paper ever produced. Nobody's ever come close. It hasn't been produced in years. I don't know if you can see, just looking here, just how much more yellow it is than the background. And actually, take a look at this. So here's a regular page, and you can really see the difference. This is old paper. Dan has had this for ages because this is just not paper to waste. So we're going to use some tonight. I'm going to use this sparingly over the years because I don't have too much. And yeah, it's pretty special. I was actually showing Eric. I want to show you guys this. So take a look at this. If you flip it over, can you see that? Yeah, I know it's really light, but this is a double page spread size side of the paper. So this is the other side of the paper. And it's actually framed for a double page spread. So it's cut along the line right here. To take regular paper like this right here, if I can reach it again. So this is my regular paper. You can see, first of all, I really like this paper, but look at how offset it is. This is one side, this is the other side. I've been working on paper like this for a few years. I don't know how many millions of sheets they must have printed out, way offset on the page. It's crazy, but whatever, it's good paper. On the back is absolutely nothing. So if you want to make a double page spread, you have a choice. You can either cut off one of the sides just a little bit, because a double page spread it's as wide as two of these, but not including this whole big gap here. Or you can put along a ruler and cut the paper, and I've seen people do that. To me, it seems like so much work. So anyway, it just makes me miss the days when it was so easy. Nobody else does this, but it costs a lot of money, I would imagine, to print on both sides. This is like the premium stuff. So here we go. I'm going to start drawing. I'm going to bore you guys about paper all night. Oh, and we have Eric here with me too. Apologies, Eric.
No worries.
Eric will be reading comments and hanging out with me tonight while we draw this. Oh, also, because I didn't have my face camera, I just decided to go with full screen, which means that you can see the layout the whole time. So there is that.
Yeah.
So and Henry says, Dave, thanks for showing the layout. Well, there you go. You'll be able to see it the whole time, and you'll be able to see just how far I miss if I don't.
So Luke Forwoodson's in the chats, and he said he's giddy, and that's an understatement. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Luke is the winner of the Finch Farm logo contest, and that's what he'll be receiving. So
yes, I feel like such a jerk too. I actually wrote in the description, I wrote Luke Forwardson, and I wrote it as forward sin, you know, like the direction. And I thought, that's not right. There's no way. And I didn't have time. I was late putting up the link for this tonight too. So I just put Luke. So I'm so sorry, Luke. And I just saw him here actually just a little bit, you know, a few minutes ago in the chat, and it's Forwardson, you know, of course. But yeah. He's just Luke here.
Yeah, the pretty cool logo too. That's definitely an art form in and of itself.
Oh, it really is. We had so many that were incredible. We have things for everyone that submitted a logo also. So that'll be happening ASAP, like very soon. I know we're not always the absolute best getting stuff out, but we will have some stuff out soon.
So in terms of feel, is it about as smooth as the Strathmore, or
No. This is magical paper.
it's made with unicorn tears and wood pulp?
I can't describe. It's so hard to. It really is hard to describe the difference. Like it just glides on the paper. It's there's nothing like it. You can erase, and I have done this. You can erase spaghetti off this thing if you need to. I mean, ideally, you don't want to do that, but you can. I used to have an electric eraser, and I mean that thing would, it would take off anything, but it would also take off the paper. On this paper, it is so sturdy. Yeah, you could erase anything from it.
Wow.
And unfortunately, it's not like you can say, hey, I love this paper. Why couldn't we just, print the thing on the other side, kind of recreate this paper? They're just not making this paper stock anymore. And actually, I have no idea who made it, because if you look at the paper, it's got the Image logo, Image Comics. It doesn't say who made the paper, and I just don't know. And whoever did make the paper, I will guarantee they're not making this anymore. This is just how it goes. As things get more and more digital, a lot of traditional art supplies are kind of fading. Now, they're being replaced in a lot of ways, like inking tools. Let me take my collared shirt off. It's a little. I had the window open. We're so windy. It was just bellowing in here, so it's a little warm. But all right. Hello, Vincent.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And I see Madeira Uchila asks if Meredith's here. She is not. She's actually upstairs going to bed right now. She is she has to be a morning person with the horses, the way they are. She's a real morning person. So yeah, she's going to bed early tonight. And I won't be able to stream as much as I was, unfortunately. I really wanted to do this one, and I wanted to get right to it. And we'll be streaming again, obviously, but yeah, for the time being, it's going to be this one here. I decided, because Meredith wasn't going to do it, I thought, okay, we should do it on Thursday, because I didn't want Meredith to feel like we're cutting her out of it, because that's not what's going on. And Random Pat says, is this the last stream for a while? It is the last stream for, it's going to be a few weeks. I have some streams in mind that I really want to do, and I want to get to. And so we will be getting to those soon. We've got some guests, Eric, that we'd like to have on. So yeah, those are coming. But yeah, the weekly stream, we're just not going to be able to do just for a little while. As it is, I have to admit, tonight I'm having a great time. I'm glad to be doing this. I'm going to miss this for a bit, but I have a deadline right now that I'm kind of like, oh, well, I was thinking all day today. Today's my lunch day with my friend here locally, and we do it every week. And I almost canceled today. I thought, you know what? I've got a stream tonight. I can't work. I should probably just say I can't do it. But it's such a tradition, and I have such a habit, Eric. I don't know if you're like this at all, but I can kind of neglect friends. You get so caught up in work, and I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. So
yeah,
I'm doing both, and I'll work hard tomorrow.
Yeah, it's easy to get our heads down and stay indoors.
It is. It's too easy, and it makes you miserable. At the same time, it can be so hard to find the energy to, get yourself together, go out and, kind of put on your public face a little bit and, pretend that, you're like, hey, everybody, when you're like feeling a little, you know what? I don't want to sound too negative. It's not like I go around so miserable, but some people are an extroverted introvert. I'm an introverted introvert, really, but I like people. It's not like, so I love doing this. I find this is easier for me than talking to people when I'm not drawing. I don't know if that sounds crazy to you guys, but hopefully not. But, yeah. All right.
So Eldon Slack says, "Hey David, I won the Hobgoblin drawing on the giveaway. I wanted to say I love it and I have it proudly displayed over my drawing table."
Oh, that's awesome. I'm so glad. And thank you for displaying it. All right, I'm bringing up my reference here. Let's see what we got. I'm actually looking at a picture from Todd Knock that he did. And it looks like he did it with Copic markers. It's really nice. Did a great job.
He really is good with Copic markers.
Yeah.
Really, really good and comfortable and knows what colors go well together in the Copic family.
Yeah, that's experience. I mean, it's experience, and he's also a very talented artist.
Absolutely.
He's been around as long as I have. Like, we've both been in the business now for the better part of 30 years.
Yeah.
None of us are young anymore.
Yeah, Mike Glinick says Todd Knock has his own YouTube channel. Yeah, he sure does. And a lot of the color combinations that I've used on some Copic pieces is because of Todd Knock's channel. You know, he actually tells you I'm using R27 here. I'm using, B32 here. And, it really helps to know what colors go well together in the Copic family.
Yeah. So I put a little bit of thought into this, Eric, but before I started, because most pictures of Darklaw that I've seen have his mouth open so you can see his teeth, because Wolverine, it's pretty rare to see him with his mouth just closed, But he also has on his costume, he's got these black teeth like this, and then they kind of come like this on his face. And I feel like if I open them up, it's just going to look like too much. So anyway,
Yeah.
not putting them in. We'll see how that works.
Dan says, what channel? It's just Todd Knock's channel. You can just search for Todd Knock, Dan.
Oh, yeah, it's very easy to find.
Yeah.
That's Dan Genovese.
Yeah. And he also said he's an introverted introvert.
Dan is? Yeah. You know what? I bet you if you did a poll, that's probably most of us.
So Atomic asks, I want to start painting. Eric and Dave, what would you recommend me doing? I think the first thing you should probably go back and look at is the stream we did with Ariel. That's probably the easiest entry into things. I mean, There's so many different. There's literally I feel like there's hundreds of different processes, and I would say look at the stream. Just start painting and.
Yeah, I definitely think looking at that stream. Okay, so the number one thing about painting, in my opinion, is to start with a strong, very complete underdrawing. Mm-hmm. The way that we're painting, and I like to ink mine. I use colored pencil or ink, whichever, but like a black colored pencil, But having something that is pretty solid underneath and pretty realized makes all the difference. And then from there, using a tone. So we very often use a burnt sienna, and you have to be very aware when you're using acrylic paint that if you just take burnt sienna and put it down, it'll just obliterate everything, and it's very, very strong. But if you water it down a lot, you can get something that just creates like a light wash. Actually here. So I did this Batman couple weeks ago. That is what the underpainting looks like right there. Now Ariel, he uses for the one that we did, he used a red that faded down into a blue, which you can do very easily when it's still wet, like this. So it doesn't have to be a burnt sienna. I like this because it's just a good warm tone that works well on the blue and also makes the face kind of easy to finish. But so yeah, that's a good way to start. And then when you're painting, you really want to not go thick with your paint. You want to think in terms of very thin layers with paint. And I really like to use an ultra matte medium. It's matte medium essentially, but because it's ultra matte, it gives you a little bit of tooth. And I just like how the paint flows a little bit better. I also find if I want to do details with colored pencil, like for instance, on his eyes, if I want to darken them and I don't want to go in with a tiny little brush, using ultra matte medium with the paint means that I have a paint surface that's very easy to keep drawing on. It's a really good trick. I saw a video from Bill Sienkiewicz, who was actually more of a watercolor painter. well, he's a watercolor painter, really. Mixed media, but a lot of watercolor. Anyway, he was painting, and at one point he has the whole kind of base finished, and then he takes out a roller. So it's a flat roller. It's not like a paint roller that you paint on your walls where it's got like the fabric on it. It's like more of a printing roller. Anyway, and he takes some, I think he used clear gesso, which I don't have. I should get some to try. The stuff that I have, the ultramat medium works the same, so it doesn't really matter. And he just rolled it on, and rolling it on meant that he could get it sealed, but it didn't disturb the surface, because obviously a watercolor picture, if you run a brush over it, you'll just blur everything because you'll just pick it back up. So yeah, I thought that was really, really interesting. That's not a technique that I use because I don't use watercolor, so I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, very interesting. Anyway, there's so many things like that, and you really do have to just go for it and kind of fail, you know.
Yeah.
And be comfortable with failing. It's, you know what, Tomek, I have no doubt that you'll be comfortable with failing, because I hope that doesn't come out differently than I meant that. But you know, you are very dedicated in learning and study. So you know, in order to be that dedicated, you're gonna fail. It's just part of the process. So I have no doubt that that's not going to stop you.
Yeah, painting will quickly remind you that it's challenging. But that's really part of the fun. Every painting brings new challenges, and it's just fun to be able to solve them and learn. So
yes,
let's see. Lance said he's watched the aerial video and the Dan DeSantis videos at least 4 times each. There's a wealth of information in both of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, there really is. And, you know, the whole time, you know, I want to show my picture the whole time because I want to show you guys and, you know, and Eric too, I'm sure. But I wanted to keep those videos because that's aerial Olivetti painting and really explaining in detail exactly what he does with his paintings. And you just can't find that.
Yeah, it was absolute gold.
Yeah, it really was. So I wanted to focus on his picture as much as possible.
Yeah. And I really, you know, I liked it too because Juan was there as well, helping translate. So we could like ask Ariel directly, which Ariel can speak English, you know, but he's a lot more comfortable, you know, obviously going into further detail with everything in his, you know, in Spanish. So it was great being able to, you know, hear directly from Ariel as we were painting and asking questions. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, great.
Taku summarize a super chat. Hi, we'll miss Monday Night Draw. Do you have any favorite covers? I became a fan with X-Men 200 Gatefold. I wish I could get a poster of it.
You know, funny you should mention that. And thank you very much. And thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. That is, if I had to point to a favorite one, I would say that might qualify, mostly because I'm such a huge X-Men fan, and to be able to do like such a huge picture. It was 4 pages wide. It was enormous. And, you know, with every X-Men character in existence to that date, it was a big deal. I was pretty glad to be a part of it. We are actually going to be doing a release of that poster this year. I've been kind of talking to Jason, my art dealer, because he's doing it. He's actually got a license through Marvel, so it'll be available online, which normally you can't do. So that's very, very cool. We'll be doing that soon. Anyway, I'll bring it up when it's closer. And I know what's going on. But yeah, we're going to be doing that one and a couple other ones, like a Moon Knight one. And some, actually, what's exciting for me too, Eric, is that I'll be able to do a couple of prints that I just haven't ever been able to do. Like Moon Knight issue 1, I would have loved to do a print of that, but I just didn't have a file for it. Well, Marvel does. And so doing these licensed by Marvel means that I have access to their files.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I think I told you I managed to get a copy of that comic finally.
Yeah, just I think the only way it's in print right now is in a large, like omnibus type of a thing. Yeah, which is kind of, you know, it's too bad. Marvel, I mean, they're great. If I had one complaint, it would be that there are some books that I wish were easier to get in like a a nice prestige format book, like some of Jim Lee's X-Men. I'd love to have all of Jim Lee's X-Men from both Uncanny and X-Men in just a huge book. That would be great. And they could do it, and hopefully they will sometime. They should do it. We should have a vote. What would you like the most? I'm opening his mouth after all. Dang it.
Random Pet says, I've been studying a lot of Gabriel Delotto, trying to absorb the techniques. That guy's an absolute master.
Yeah. What you'll find, what I found, and I think what you found too, Eric, is that Gabriel Delotto, when he paints, and when really any really great experienced painter paints, he washes a color down that works really well with his later colors, because he knows what he's going to put down. And then every layer he puts down exactly the right color at exactly the right value. And so it's a very different process than what you'll run into when you try it yourself.
Yeah.
Because you'll put down something, it didn't really work, and now you're having to fix that, and then you'll try something else, and you slowly kind of triangulate in on a picture. It's not like that when you watch somebody that really knows what they're doing. So it can be a bit of a frustration, because it almost makes the process a completely different thing. Yeah, I've watched a lot of Ariel or help me out, Eric.
Gabriel.
Thank you, Gabriel. I've watched a lot of his stuff too, and I love it. I find I don't have the skill with painting to be able to pull that off. And I'm painting more now, finally, after so many years of well, okay, I have been painting more. I won't be able to for a little while, unfortunately, but once the book is finished and in the can and ready to go, I'll be able to get back to some painting, and hopefully do it often enough that I can start to build up that confidence with color and in tone. So I'm not kind of jumping back and forth and turning it into 30 layers just to try and get the thing that I could have achieved in one or two.
Yeah, I would like to see a definitive collection of Wizards how to draw books in hardcover. That would be great. I actually went on a bit of a Wizard how to draw. I mean, I bought a bunch of Amazon from third-party sellers because it's out of print, and I paid a pretty penny for most of them.
Yeah,
it would be nice to get a huge compilation all in one. That'll be huge. That'll be a huge tome, though. It'll be hard to hold, but it would be nice if they did a re-release.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's such an incredible resource. It's such a shame that it's so hard to find a lot of that. Yeah, I remember when I wanted to get into comics, there wasn't the internet to go check. You waited every month for Wizard magazine, and there was a time it made stars out of artists, because artists were really the stars of comics back then. Now it's much more writers, but so it really focused on the art. And if you were on a book that got it like a 3-4 page story, what it would do for your profile, you can imagine when news only comes out once a month and they can only cover so much in a magazine. The difference being that any comic book website, like a news site, I think it curves just a little bit like this. They put up a story, and then 5 minutes later, they put up a story below it, and then 10 minutes later, another one. A day later, a year, 3 pages back, and it's just forgotten. And so it's really difficult to generate the kind of buzz through promotion that you used to be able to, because the fact is that those stories were it was a bit of a symbiotic relationship. The companies would advertise with Wizard, and Wizard would promote their work through stories, and like any magazine. This is how it works. If you guys don't know that, I'm sure you do.
Let's see. Darmic says he still has the Wizards book on storytelling and a hardcover book with Michael Turner cover. Nice.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of them. I was and another thing that used to be a really big deal and a real point of contention too is the Wizard top 10 hottest artist list. They eventually put hottest writers in there too, as times were kind of changing a bit, but it was always the hottest artist list for years. And getting on that list, there were a few factors. Number one, if you're Todd McFarlane, you're going to be on that list because you're Todd McFarlane, you know, and Jim Lee. And, you know, there are a few people that were just so important to the industry that they were just perennially on there. And then you would have other people that would be on there when they're, let's say they're doing for DC, they're doing a book that DC is really heavily promoting. You would, generally speaking, the artist on that book would get on the top 10 list. This is pretty common. And so anyway, point of my story is I was on the top 10 list for a few years running. It was quite a while. Now I was doing Ultimate X-Men, which was a big seller for Marvel at the time. And then New Avengers, which was like the #1 book for a while. That stuff kept me on the top 10 list for a while. And yeah, it was so important to me. I was very, very proud of that. And I knew very, very well that it's because I was working on books that made that possible. I didn't care. I'll still take it. It's like my Eisner Award. I have an Eisner Award. You guys know that? Anyway, I won it because Tom King was very, very popular at the time with the Eisner community. He was winning a lot of awards around that time. I did a short story with him. And because I was the artist, I got an Eisner Award. The only way I would ever win one. There's no way. Like, I'm not that kind of artist, but whatever, I got one.
Are you talking about I Am Gotham?
No, it was, I don't know the name of it, but it was a short story with Ace the Bat Hound in Batman Annual. But anyway, we won Best Short Story. And I mean, I say we, Tom King won, but I still got an award. Got it on my shelf. I proudly display it. I have it in my bio. I don't care that I never could have won it on my, it doesn't matter. I don't know that Jim Lee has ever won an Eisner. Do you know? Has he ever?
I don't know. I can look.
If I had to guess, I'd say no. And if you want my opinion on how legitimate the Eisners are, yeah, if Jim Lee hasn't won your award for anything art related, you're a fraud.
Well, I bet you the art on that Tom King short story was amazing. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was fantastic.
Oh, it was a good story. Oh, the art.
No, I'm talking about the art as well.
Yeah, it wasn't. It is what it is, but whatever. Award, I don't care. But yeah, the Wizard top 10 list was very political, and awards are also very political. It's just, yeah, you know, it's the way it is. I'm sure it's that way in Hollywood, obviously.
Yes, so I found it just as Rush. As cool. It was called Good Boy. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a pretty iconic shot there, Dave, of Batman in the snow. I have a shirt with that on.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I was looking at a lot of Mike Mignola for that shot, and I feel like, I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like I got too close to Mike Mignola. I mean, you know, swipe. Well, you know, you could make that argument. I look at things all the time for inspiration. Usually it doesn't end up like that. I feel like I was too close. So I'm proud of the cover. At the same time, I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, it owes so much to Mike Mignola. Even inking on this paper, it's like magic. I don't know how much of it's psychological.
Yeah, it's probably a bit of column A, column B, but hey, whatever.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm superstitious with all my stuff.
You're wearing your favorite socks as well.
Yeah. I have actually 2 different socks on right now.
Oh, there we go.
You know what though? Nobody wears just plain white socks anymore. You know, you have to wear socks with little things on them. I've got one of like 10 different socks in my drawer right now. I find
socks with those little like tire tread on the bottom. So
yeah, or whatever it is. Yeah, trying to find 2 socks that match. I finally gave up and went, all right, whatever. Nobody's looking at my socks that close, hopefully.
Vincent's got a pretty good question. Dave, when you do a 20-page story, do you draw from page 1 to 20, or do you draw randomly, like you draw page 10 and then 15 and 6? Basically, do you jump around, or do you just go right?
I've done it both ways. I've done a lot of books where I read the whole script and then I decide what I want to draw first and second, and and I do it that way. I find there are 2 things that are bad about that, so I try not to do it. Every once in a while, it's so the number one thing that happens when you do that is in a story, you establish a scene, and then later on in the story, you're using that scene, and it has to be consistent. And you have to, like, you're creating a reality, and you can very easily break that reality when you skip ahead 5 pages and you're not really thinking enough. You think you are, and I'm sure it's possible to really think it through properly. But what kept happening to me is I didn't really think through how I was establishing my scene well enough, because I was drawing a later version of it. I hadn't really established it, and I would paint myself into a corner and do things that I would then have to try to fix. So I didn't love it for that. The other problem is that I would read a script, and page 10 is a big, huge shot of somebody's face and they're angry. And you got to know, if I'm skipping through pages, I'm doing that one first because I'm lazy. So I would end up with a comic where some of the pages that really should be the least time and the least focus would get the most attention. And then some of the harder pages that really need that time would get neglected, and they would end up being at the end of the book, and they would look noticeably cheap, more noticeably cheap than they really otherwise would, because especially a tougher page, when you hack them, it really shows. And so I stopped doing that, and I try to do the book in order. I know artists that will actually lay out the whole book and then start drawing. And if you do that and you do tight enough layouts, I guess you can get away with whatever you want. With, I guess, the kind of caveat that, yeah, you can still hack through pages you really shouldn't be. But, there are times the editor is saying, hey, you need to have 6 pages this week. And I'm like nowhere near that. And I realize there's no way I'm getting, like, it's just not possible. And so I end up just cherry picking out of the book to find pages that I can finish in time. And it's never good, but yeah, I've certainly done it. Anyway, long story short, my recommendation is to not do that.
And 3 Eyebrows asked, have you ever had to redraw pages?
Yeah, actually. Not often, but I'm going to say once for sure on every major project that I've done, I've had to redraw, if not a whole page, certainly major portions.
So is it something that you stop and think and feel like you could do something better, or is it an edit?
Oh, no. Once I've drawn the page, almost no matter how bad it is, I'm way too lazy to do it again. It's always... I've never had a situation, I should be very thankful, where they said, you know what, the art is just not acceptable in this, we need to redo it. Mm-hmm. That hasn't happened. But what has happened, and actually I had that happen with the project I'm working on right now, there was just a story inconsistency that was strong enough that I had no choice but to redraw a pretty major piece.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine if like reshoots happen in Hollywood, then the comic industry wouldn't be immune to such things too. So
yeah, and that has happened. Actually, I've drawn a story where one of the characters that appeared quite a bit in the story we couldn't use, and we found out very late, and so I had to do a lot of art correction to fix that. I did a double page spread of every single character in, like, Avengers related character in Avengers Disassembled. This is a long time ago. It's a double page spread. You can see all of them. And in the script, it said, you see the Avengers Mansion. And in front of the Avengers Mansion, all of these Avengers characters, including like Moon Knight, basically anybody who's ever been an Avenger, is lined up, gathered around in front of the gates, waiting to get in because it was just attacked. And it's a big deal, And then behind that, you see police cars, and they're, the police line holding back reporters and, other people behind that. And then you can see helicopters in the air above the whole scene in the sky. And then in the foreground, there's Captain America and Hawkeye. And they're just coming off of the Avengers jet. And this is the scene they're coming onto. Anyway, I drew it according to the script. Well, the problem is, in order to get all that in, including helicopters, I don't even think I got the helicopters in. I think I cut that even in the original, but it made for a very ineffective double page spread. So we talked about it, and I ended up completely redrawing it. So the one that's in the book it was totally redone. They actually paid me for it twice, which was very nice, because I mean, the fact is that they don't have to, like, contractually, changes are part of the job. And to be a professional is to accept it when they come. but they paid, which was very nice of them to do. I've had other times where they haven't paid, and you know the times that happens, Eric. That's when it's my fault. Yeah, and that's certainly happened. It happens to all of us.
Yeah, I would imagine that what you drew originally probably took quite a while to get all that done. So
it took forever, and the redraw took just as long. It ended up making the book just a little bit late, which wasn't great, but it really needed to be done. It was such an important page for the book, and you know, there are times you do what you got to do. I hate it. I was mad. You know, I didn't really say anything because it is what it is, and you really do have to accept it. But I wasn't thrilled. It was a tough day. This is actually just before I met Meredith, so I was alone in my house. I had just got a house, yelling at the walls.
You had your infinity vase, right?
Yeah, I had my infinity vase. Still got it.
Okay. Toby Millie, I think. Dave, I got the Carnage giveaway drawing. It's great. It's on my art desk on top of my George Perez poster book. For me, that's the highest praise. Thanks to Eric, Meredith, and of course, Dave.
Oh, thank you very much. That's great to hear. Yeah, it really makes me so happy to know they're, being displayed. I have a lot of art that I really love that is in a flat drawer because I just haven't had a chance to get them framed, and so.
Yeah, I only recently I got 3 pieces that have been sitting unframed for years that I finally got framed. Now the frames are sitting on the floor and I haven't hung them, so it's probably going to take me a few years to actually hang them.
Actually, yeah, you know what? We've been in this house now for it's not 2 years, but it's getting close. I think it'll be 2 years in just about 2 months, month and a half. And yeah, I still have pictures that are in frames, ready to put. All I need to do is get out the hammer and put them on the wall, and I have not done it. It's tough to get around to stuff.
Dave, for folks that haven't gotten the Kickstarter book yet, who should they reach out to?
That would be Jason at Essential Sequential. I'm surprised to hear that somebody hasn't gotten it yet.
Yeah, Mr. Papa, I would. There should be a contact email on Essential Sequential. Let me get the link for you. I would definitely reach out as soon as you can. And
certainly apologies if that's. I want to say if that's the case. Obviously, that's the case. So apologies for that, and we will make sure to fix that right away.
Let's see if there's a contact on there. There sure is. Sean Jensen. Hey Dave, just got my new Triumph today in the pouring rain. I'm not sure what he's saying there. I know Mark Silvestri taught you a lot of what you know, but have you ever thought of doing a study stream with him in the future?
Yes, that is something that I very much want to do. Eric, that's something I'd really like to plan to do.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he's to this day my biggest influence. So yeah, I think that would be a great one to do.
So yeah, I think he picked his Triumph up in the rain today.
Ooh man, and I don't know where you are, so I don't know how cold it is, but I wouldn't want to be doing that here. That's for sure. Not right now. We just got some rain. The problem we're having is we get rain, and then it gets cold. And the ground's still wet and it all turns to ice, which is no fun. But with horses, you can't just leave them outside in a paddock with ice everywhere. They'll break a leg, or at least that's, kind of what we worry about. So I have a feeling because we're getting rain right now, it's getting cold. We might have the horses in. So.
Oh man. Sean Jensen says is in Oregon. So basically Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? It's nicer there though. Like the West Coast weather, it is nicer.
Yeah, it's basically always. Sean, doesn't it rain a lot there? I think there on that side of the continent, it definitely rains a lot. I watched a documentary about this lion there's almost a vertical line that you can trace throughout the USA, where one half is drier than the other due to the mountains.
And it's the mountains that are causing it, basically.
Yeah, and so a lot of rain and everything ends up being a lot more on the western seaboard.
But they're not as cold.
What I mentioned, I thought I missed something. Sorry, what was that?
I said, but they're not as cold.
Yeah. Yep.
And he's got a big. It's a crazy costume.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Brad Scott Art said he hadn't received these either. Yeah, definitely reach out for anyone who hasn't received theirs yet.
Yeah, for sure. And really, my apologies.
Yeah,
I have learned not to minimize. I hope it doesn't sound like that, but every Kickstarter that I've ever seen, this always happens, and it's one thing that I'm always a little leery about with Kickstarters is the idea that some books will end up being late, and it's fine to say that, but when you're the person that ends up sitting around waiting for a book that you should have had months ago, that's not cool.
And I'm not saying this is what happened to these guys, but I remember when when I went into the fulfillment part of Book of Ruth, I fat fingered my address, and I managed to catch it just in time, and I think Meredith changed it, but
yeah, we had actually quite a bit of that with Book of Ruth. Shipping was a real problem with that one. We got them all out. We ended up, that book did okay. It ate up all of the profit that we made on the book, and then a lot more once we got shipping, because we had somebody shipping from the States, and they basically just bailed on it, And so we ended up having to get the book shipped back here. Shipping from Canada is incredibly expensive, but we had to do it. So yeah, it was what it was. It just happens. All right, time to erase. 9:42. We're making good time.
Anyone able to tell what instrument he's drawing with? That's a Micron 01, I believe.
Yes, it is. This is it right here. It's a Micron, a Pigma Micron 01. So yeah, that's what it is. I've got stacks of them. They I don't know why I'm trying to show you this. I don't know that you'd be able to see it. It's so small, but the tips on them, if you press too hard, they start to bend and they get a little difficult to use. And I do that so often that I replace them quite a bit. I just press too hard with pencils, with everything. That's another reason this paper is so good, Eric.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't scratch as easy?
No. I mean, you can scratch it. I have trashed this paper before. I mean, I don't want to, because I started on this paper. This is the exact paper that, all of my earliest stuff was on. And when you're learning and you're not as confident, you will do a lot of erasing, and it's going to happen that you'll trash some paper. And I did. Even this stuff, it can be destroyed, but it's pretty hard.
So given the age of the papers, there's no bleeding or anything like that?
Oh, no.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when you were doing that, when you were putting all the characters on that one commission.
Yes, that was terrible paper, though.
Yeah, I think there was
that wasn't the age. That was just the paper quality. It was garbage.
Gotcha.
This is look, it's the reality with commissions. When you end up with somebody else's paper, invariably it's bad paper.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. And meanwhile, Scott Williams did inks on that paper, and it looked pristine, like perfect. So whatever, can't really totally blame the paper.
Yeah. Ross Klein. Hi, Dave and Eric. Do you find it's more difficult to draw scalloped shapes in perspective? Oh yeah, I do, at least.
What shapes?
Scalloped shapes, or any kind of, like his on his head there. Those.
Oh yeah, these kinds of things.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, actually, look at how far off this is.
It's
And you know what?
hard.
I'm going to fix it. This one points all the way down and that one's all the way up. And I didn't even notice. Speaking of how
But
difficult.
even things like Wolverine's mask or Wolverine's shoulder pad things, it's tricky.
Yes. You know what? That's why Ross asked, because he's looking at that going, man, that is not right.
What pen did you use for Miss? So Bo Burgess, that is a Posca white marker. It's an acrylic.
Yeah.
It's an acrylic marker that once dry can accept inks again. So it's real nice.
Yeah, a lot of the more traditional whiteout that you'd use for inking, it's very, very difficult to ink over. And so you end up having to use a brush. This isn't really perfectly lined up either. You know what? There's a point. I think that'll work fine. Yeah. But yeah, you can use a brush over anything because it doesn't really disturb the surface. But if you try to use a quill or some of the pens that I've got, it'll just cut right through some marker, and it's a real problem, or some whiteout. Whereas the Posca, I actually, you know what? Speaking of Mark Silvestri, I did a convention with Mark just before I started my YouTube channel again, just about a month before or so. And he showed me Posca pens. So I had just started using them when I started doing the YouTube channel. I've been using them for, a month. And really, I'm not much of an inker, It's still a pretty new thing for me. I've been much more of a penciler for all these years. And everything would just be inked. It used to be like I would end up seeing a lot of my commissions inked because I would do my commissions in pencil. Mm-hmm. And then people would get them inked by somebody afterwards. And, sometimes it'd be great. And sometimes I'd be all upset about it. But it's hard for me to let go.
Yeah, there's so many decisions one has to make when inking. And if it's your own pencils, you know what those decisions should be.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you're inking, it is such a thankless job, because to do it right is to do kind of what the penciler has in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And you really can't know that. You interpret it your own way. You try to be as faithful as you can, but every interpretation you make is subject to whether they feel like that is, the way they would have done it, and they get all upset about it. I say I've done this. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for inkers. It is a tough job, and people just don't see the work that goes into it.
Yeah, and there's inkers that make people's pencils look a whole lot better too. So
yes, unfortunately, it's becoming a real lost skill.
They are definitely artists in their own right, for sure.
Not a lost skill so much as it's just inkers are just not being utilized the way that they used to be, and I think it's a real shame. See, this is why I had the mouth closed, and I'm just gonna. This is okay. Look, I'm going to complain about design just a little bit. When something is very, very dark, and you put it on an upper surface, like on a face like this, and the teeth are also very dark, how am I supposed to shadow under that? You essentially can't use any actual shadow, or it just obliterates the picture. And so I'm trying here. I'm going to experiment with a couple of things. Like I can still put a little whiteout in there and see what I get, but it's very, very difficult. And I've never found an ideal solution for that. My ideal solution is to not design things so that I end up in that position. So when I do my own designs, I try to make sure like I wouldn't have black teeth above a face that's supposed to appear like it's recessed below it.
Yeah. I wonder how the Posca is going to look on the paper.
Well, you can see something here. It's actually not bad. When I first put some down, I was thinking about that. I thought, yeah, with the paper.
I mean, if the Posca is surrounded by black, it'll look okay.
Even here, where I just have it light, it's not looking too bad.
You know why? Because the Posca is not. It is opaque if you go over it again, but maybe it's a bit translucent there.
Well, I'm going to go over it again, so we'll see the damage in a minute. We'll see how it works.
It's not Monday, and I thought we were taking a break from streams. That's Monday Night Draw.
And we are. I am taking a break. We're taking a break, yeah. But this is for Luke Forwardson, who won the logo contest. I could have just drawn this and sent it to Luke,
Yeah.
But I thought, it'd be nice to do it on the stream and actually, include you guys in it. So
yeah,
so that's why.
Dave's.
What's that?
I was going to say to the gentleman that Dave's just working on finishing up his creator-owned book, so all effort is definitely being poured into that. So
Yeah.
Streams in general and tutorial videos will be a lot fewer than normal.
Yes, and we'll still be here, and we'll be back, stronger again. But yeah, for the time being, I'm kind of having to cut back just a little bit. Let me do a little cleaning up here. I made such a mess of not making these line up that now it's a bit of alteration here and there. But all right, this is dry enough. I'm going to try and put a little bit of. See if I can make that.
Dallas McMullen's got a good question. Hey David, I'm having trouble to find where my shadows will be from my light source. Do you have any tips? There's some really awesome resources now. Even on your phone, you can load some pretty cool apps which have 3D models that you can turn in space. That's a real quick way to, guide you into where shadows should be. There's, toys that you can buy. You can model around. I have a pretty cool Phison model, which it's a very good skin analog. It helps with painting that we do. So anything that you can turn in space and shine a light on will definitely help you with that.
Yeah. Yes, all that definitely works.
And looking at other comics, I guess.
I'm really not a huge proponent of using that stuff for the most part. You will find that. So ultimately, like this arm right here, I'm lighting it from here. So I know that this part of the arm is going to be light. This part of the arm is going to be dark. I also have a smaller light source coming from here just so I don't go too dark with this whole picture because he's very, very dark. So what I'm going to do is just put my shadow where it's going to be. And I'm going to leave this more open. Now, I am going to go much wider toward the bottom. And the reason I'm doing that is what I'm drawing here essentially is, okay, so I'm drawing a ball. Imagine that looks kind of like a ball. And my shadow, if I didn't have, you know what, I'll put my side light in there too. So it gets much more narrow up here. And then because my light's coming from here, it's going to get much thicker and heavier here. And that's a really, really simple way to understand it. And so I'm doing that here. So it's very, very simple. And I can isolate that one muscle. I want to go thicker with the whole thing because he's very dark. So yeah, as much as I say that, I do this actually quite a bit, where I'll kind of build up into my shadows instead of just throwing a big, huge, hard shadow everywhere, because it's easier for me to build it than it is for me to fix it when I do too much. And then I've got a vein here, so I'm giving it a little break in the shadow just to give that a little hit of light right there. And I'm pretty loose right now. I've got the vein continuing down through here, and so I'm going to do that again there. I'm loose because I'm using a brush, which I'm really not good with. I don't try to be good with it. It's just blocking in my shapes. Now, you see that shape right there is still this right here. So I've got a long shape like this, essentially, right? And so I'm shadowing that. Now, I basically did the opposite thing because my shadow I didn't draw the right shape. But that's still essentially what I'm doing there. I know that this shape comes down through here, and so I'm finishing it off. So it looks like I'm just drawing this black shape there, and that doesn't mean anything. But I don't like, when you're learning, it can be a really good thing to draw through. So what I mean is you take your pencil and you take the shape and you draw it all the way through. And so you make sure that you know that that is a complete muscle, and you draw through all of your shapes very, very clearly. So, when you go in, you're really delineating muscles. As you get more comfortable, you can start to, do that in your head more, which is what I'm doing, because I've been doing this for a long, long time. There are times I still obviously make a mess of it, but for the most part, I've gotten a lot more comfortable. Yeah, there are rules to shadows. You need to learn the rules. I do think looking at reference like a doll or that kind of thing, it can be good. The most important thing, though, is really learning how they work. Once you learn how they work, then what you want to do is look at artists that do it well, my opinion, look at life too. You know, you can look at muscle magazines, that kind of thing. But there's so many artists that do it really, really well, and you know, learn from it, copy it, try it, and see what you get from it.
I think a lot of charm comes from comic art in that it's not 100% real life accurate. So
yes, and the fact is that some things are very easily learnable. Perspective, in my opinion, is a very learnable thing. It has rules that just make sense. Once you learn those rules, you'll still make mistakes here and there. It's not perfect. Like you'll find things that will surprise you. But for the most part, it's relatively easy. Whereas anatomy, really strong anatomy that looks believable in lighting, that's not something you're going to develop right away. You have to put the time in, and keep trying to improve it. Keep looking at new things. Keep studying and sketching from reference. If you're just sketching on your own completely, you want to sketch on your own too. But if you just sketch on your own and you don't look at things at all, you will not grow. You have to bring in you need ingredients, you know, to kind of put into the pot of your knowledge. There you go. I like that.
Make a delicious soup of it.
Yeah. Make a delicious soup of your artwork. But yes, so yeah, you can't neglect the study. You have to study using you know, stuff like dolls and that kind of thing. Look, I think that is very, very valuable, and it really can help, but it is truly not enough.
Atlas 77 asks, "Hey Dave, how do you learn to memorize the anatomy for characters? Just keep drawing keep drawing legs, keep drawing arms, just over and over and over."
You know what? I want to show you guys. So my initial anatomy, I learned from the Bridgman's Guide to Life Drawing and from Bart Sears, who I am dying to have on the channel. We'll have as soon as I can. And so I'm going to draw an arm. And the first thing when it comes to learning anatomy is this is my lower arm. My elbow is going to be just about here. This is my upper arm. My shoulder is going to be about here. And I'm sketching in broad shapes. Here's my bicep, my tricep. I know these shapes. I haven't even drawn really anatomy yet, but I'm getting these broad shapes blocked in. And you learn this from, you know, doing anatomy studies, but also something like Bart Sears. He really check him out. You can find his wizard tutorial stuff. He does anatomy, like just these bubble figures that I learned so much from because it's so simplified, but it's so good. And so being able to get to this point right here with your anatomy is a very important step, because then you're not trying to form your overall shape of your arm using muscles. It's so difficult. You want to start with something that is the general shape. And now I know I've got a muscle that goes here, and I'm going to draw that whole muscle right in there. There it is. I've got a central muscle that kind of goes here. I try to be careful with this one because if you accentuate it too much, it can look off-putting. I found some muscles are like that, in my opinion. You know, everybody's different in what they think works. I've got a bone here. I've got my major elbow bone here. My tricep shapes like this, and then it's got a tendon kind of that goes to that bone. And I'm still using really simple shapes. And I've got a long striated muscle. These are my finger extensors. My thumb extensors are up here actually and extend down to the thumb. This connects into here. I've got another one connecting here. And you want to get to a point where you can do this. Still pretty simple. There's not much to this at all. This is a 3-headed tricep. This is all you want to get. And you want to do that for your whole body. When you get to this point, which should not take you too long, also, this is one view of the arm. You want to be able to do this from the front and the side and the back. This will take study. It takes time. Once you get here, that's when you can start taking this and developing it and learning, you know, more stylized approaches, looking at life, all that kind of, that's when you really get into development. But this really is stage one, and this is how you memorize it. Don't try to learn how to draw arms by trying to do this. You need to learn, if you're learning from scratch and you don't know the muscles, you need to learn the muscles first and form them out like that. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I learned it, Dave, from watching your videos over and over, and I don't know how many times I've watched them and how many sketchbooks I went through doing just that.
Yeah, well, and Tomek, you know, and not just Tomek, but, you know, Tomek stands out just for the amount of sketches and just the growth that you can see from, you know, every few months of him doing that kind of study. It's exactly what I did. It's how I learned.
It's a good, it's a commitment, but you'll definitely see results if you know.
Yeah.
If you embrace, you have to embrace the commitment. You really have to.
Yes, and you have to decide: is it worth it? Is this what you want to do? Is drawing for a living, doing this kind of work, because this is a lifestyle. You have to dedicate so much to it. If you decide that it's worth it, this is something that you'd like to pursue, and that it feels right for you, then you have to be willing to put that work into it. You're putting that into yourself, into your future. And the nice thing is, when you learn like this kind of simple, structural anatomy, for the most part, you won't forget it. And it becomes something that, it's a major important foundational tool in your toolbox that you have from then on that you can grow with. But, you have to learn it first. I didn't find it terribly difficult to learn that stuff. As a matter of fact, I found it easier. Like, I've been working on some animal anatomy. I have been for a couple of years, because I've been drawing a lot of animals. And I found nuances very, very difficult. Like, I got the basic shapes down very quickly, but the nuances so hard for me to get. And
yeah, I mean, when you have to start turning forms in space, where you have to start foreshortening, where you have to start, muscles look different when they're flexed. Yeah, that's when it starts really getting trickier.
Yeah, well, as a for instance, so this muscle here is, because the arm's straight, this muscle is lengthened, and this muscle is flexed. So it's more like that. Now, if I bend the arm, we're still, nice thing about not having the chat and everything there, I've got more room to work with. So I'm going to bend my arm. And let me just get something kind of established really quickly here. So there you go. There's my shoulder again. Now this muscle, this is my tricep, is going to be much longer and softer. And this muscle is going to be very tight and high, because it's, you're contracting this muscle to lift your arm up, and you're contracting this muscle to draw your arm down. That's how all muscles work. It's kind of you have one set to go one way and the other set to go the other way. That actually helps make it easy to kind of, understand. If you have bent your arm in the back of it, or your leg, the top of it, like if you're bending your leg, the top muscles along the top of your leg are all going to be stretched out. If you straighten your leg, so here's my leg, I've got it straight. Here's my foot. And so these muscles are going to be much more contracted and pronounced on a straight leg than they will be on a leg that's bent. That's awful. I'm sorry, but hopefully you get the point.
And speaking of Bart Sears, I'll put a link in the chat. He released 2 ebooks, Roots and Babes, which is really, really good.
I did a picture actually for one of them. I think for the second one. Did you know that?
I need to go back and look, but they're great. Now I need to open it up. Hold up. Doing it now. Everyone's asking me if I'm drawing tonight. No, I'm not.
Yeah, Eric will be drawing the next time we do this. This one, Eric is helping me out with this. So it's just me drawing tonight.
Let's see. Roots and Babes. The second one?
Yes. I don't think that I'm wrong. I don't think so. Maybe, but I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Maybe it's not in the ebook. I'm looking real quick.
I don't know what it was for. I mean, it was a Kickstarter thing, so I don't know. Like, it was something. But
oh, maybe some kind of incentive for some tier, and
something like that. But I'm not lying. I did do it.
Such a good book. I need to go through them again.
Maybe he hated it and he didn't use it. Never know. Hey, he would. I think. No,
yeah, it'll be great to have him on. That'd be incredible.
Yeah. Well, he's so incredibly knowledgeable. He's a really, really nice guy. And he's willing to do it. I've already talked to him. So he's on board to do it.
Awesome.
And I've been kind of waiting for some of the artist streams, because we haven't done one for just a little bit. We had Ryan Benjamin on, and I went on his channel. But aside from that, it's been just a bit. because Christmas and the end of the year. Now I've got my book also kind of getting in the way. But what I'm thinking is, if I do like an art focused stream, not as often, like an artist focused stream, I can still kind of do those and just kind of, separate them out just a little bit. That's the idea. And, I said all this stuff about how I've got all these muscles and they're all really plotted out. I'm totally breaking that right now, truth be told. Because some of these striations, I'm making sure to create connection points and not utterly contradict myself. But yeah, it's really not perfect. I'm kind of making up muscles just a little bit here. That takes time to kind of get comfortable with. I remember Mark Silvestri, when he was teaching me, complaining that I was really, really married to my understructure and trying to represent all those muscles properly and not doing what I just did here. And he said, it's great. You need to learn all the anatomy, but you also need to learn how to use it like a tool and be willing to kind of, be creative with it and be a little bit more abstract with it. So that just takes
time. Cronus D has a super chat. I'm 30, been drawing since 6, haven't had the chance to pursue my comics. Do you think 30 years old is too late to start into turning my passion as a career?
Oh, absolutely not. And there are some incredible comic artists out there that have broken in at 30 or later that could certainly attest to that. Steve McNiven comes to mind for somebody that broke in around that age. He was a school teacher for quite a while, and he decided to get into it. Mark Bagley also, I think, was he was older than 30, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but certainly he was not young. Mm-hmm. Most comic artists, my experience, start early 20s. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's a result of this is, in order to start at any point, you need to be ready to take on not only a lot of work, but also the time that is involved. And that's commitment, but it's also, you have other commitments in your life. Yep. If you're married and you have kids and, you're paying the bills, yeah, I mean, that's a reality. And it doesn't make you too old. Absolutely, it doesn't. That, to me, that's really the difference between somebody that gets in and most people that get in younger.
Yeah, the limiting factor is definitely time and responsibility. Definitely.
Yeah, and usually when you're younger, you don't have a lot of those responsibilities, so it makes it much easier. It's harder when you're older, not because it's harder to learn, not because it's harder to break in or there's any ageism, because there truly is not. Nobody cares. It's harder because you have more responsibilities. I mean, that's a reality. And you know what? Look, I'll put it this way, not to be too negative, but when I started, I made $100 a week. I lived in an artist condo. Ryan Benjamin was there, who I was drawing with just last week. He was there. I think he moved out just about a week before I moved in, and they provided me with a futon, and there was like a little fridge in the place so we could I had food money, and that was the money that I made, all the money that I made for almost a year. And I mean, I didn't care. I was thrilled, but I didn't have to care because I wasn't responsible for anybody but me at the time. So yeah, it's harder, but if you can put the time in and do what it takes, there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, Art of Wade King says life and kids makes it harder. A lot of people don't want to put in the work. Yeah, drawing can be hard. I mean,
when you say
it's a lot of work.
A lot of people don't want to put in the work. A lot of people, but that is kind of age independent, frankly.
Yeah.
It is. Well, like I said with anatomy, it's a lifestyle. It's a commitment. It's not easy to learn all this stuff and to devote the time that it takes to really internalize it to the extent that you'll be able to build a career on it. It is not for everyone.
Yeah,
but
a lot of hard work.
Yeah, if it's for you and you are willing to kind of put that into it, there's so much that you get out of it.
And always keep your work when you're starting out. keep everything you do, because those days when it gets really hard, look back at what you did before, and it'll keep you going.
You know what? I have such a massive pile of work that I did before I broke in. It's actually just there outside the door of my office right now. It's in a huge pile. I need to find a place for it. And I keep thinking about just chucking it all, like keeping a couple of things and then just getting rid of it. Because what am I ever going to do with it? But, probably shouldn't do that. I don't know. But yeah, I've got stacks and stacks of sketches. And, this is the old days. None of it was on the computer. So I've got it all still. My mother saved it. And then she finally got sick of, trying to find a place to keep it. So
we'll have a Kickstarter book with just your old stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Won't that be great? It's pretty incompetent looking stuff. It really is.
JDSCT says, show us. Dave actually did on a stream. Oh, I wonder if I'd be able to find it.
Well, you know what? I could say that, or I could just show you guys. I'm going to show you guys. I'll just grab a couple of pages and show you. Okay.
I think it was Andrew Loomis, David, who basically said, anything that we go through and struggle as an artist, he went through, and that's like one of the best illustrators ever. So
yep,
everyone meets resistance learning. So
this is me trying to draw Bridgman right here. So this is very early on, but these are some Bridgman sketches. You can see I've got like a line run through it. I'm trying to think about the movement a little bit, but yeah, it's a bunch of, and these right here, these are both heads from Alan Davis. I was trying to draw some heads looking at his stuff for reference, and you can see, yeah, it needed some work. There's some more stuff on the back. It's just endless amounts of, these are all, for the most part, all Loomis. Or did I say Loomis? Bridgman. This is all Bridgman stuff. Like here's a Bridgman foot, and I just was going through. I have hundreds of pages of this stuff, and then this one. This is a layout for a page. This is actually the group of samples that I did that I broke in on. And you can see,
we haven't seen this one.
Look at how overworked that is. I put so much into this thing trying to get it all, and then what I did is I traced it out onto, the actual artboard. So this is just a layout. I thought it would be so easy once I had it traced out. It was so hard. But yeah, this is it.
We haven't seen that one. We saw your X-Men ones before,
right? Yeah, this is the same. Awesome. Now, yeah, the paper here, I don't know if you can really see that, but it is so trashed. Like there was just no way to fix this anymore. But this anatomy here, this is what I'm talking about. This is very much me looking at Bart Sears and using Bart Sears as basic structures, trying to get all those muscles kind of worked in there to build my form. Anyway, so there you go. There's some old stuff.
Awesome.
I think every artist thinks their own old stuff is more interesting than anybody else thinks it is. You know what I mean?
I think it's good to see that, because everyone sees your art where it is now, and there's work you've put in since then. So
for sure.
It's always interesting to see to see your old stuff and to realize that you're human too.
Well, yeah, I feel like the major difference between that stuff and actually some of the very first stuff that I did is time put in, and that stuff and now it's really the same thing. It's you have to be dedicated to learning, and I'm not as like I kind of preach that all the time. I'm not always as much as I'd like to be. It's really hard to be working on deadlines, having to get work done, and still trying to grow. It's just so easy to kind of rely on the things you already know and not push yourself.
Armad Ruby. Sorry if I missed it, but is there a book of the week tonight? No. This is.
Oh yeah. Maybe I should. I've never even thought about it.
Okay, I guess there could be.
I've got nothing ready to go. I would have to start searching. I mean, if you guys want to sit and wait while I search for the next 15 minutes, you know what? Let's skip that this time. I'm sorry. I wasn't even thinking about it. And I know which one I'd want to do. The problem is that it's one thing for me to say that. It's another thing for me to find it. Next time.
Sheldon said we just had older sketches of the week.
There you go. Yeah, there was that. Nothing else. Oh, I wanted to show you guys something else too. So Eric and I painted this. I don't know if you guys remember. I did a Warhammer picture. It was a Monday Night Draw. This is just a little bit ago. And I said I was going to paint it. And I think I showed a progress of it. Anyway, I finally finished it. It was sitting like this for weeks. And I sat and kind of finished the background. So there it is. I had these ideas that I wanted to do for the background. I wanted to do all like this cool cloudy stuff and everything. I kind of lost the plot and it ended up flat, but there's the picture. So yeah, it's all finished. So there you go. I want to post it to Instagram. I kind of haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, it came out great. Yeah, everyone really likes the painting, Dave.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think the background really came out nice.
It's not what what I was trying to do though, eh? So, yeah. It came out nothing like what I wanted. But you know what? I got what I deserved for that background as far as I'm concerned. Because it's one thing for me to say, oh yeah, I want this from it, I want that from it. Well, I never try it. I never do it. And so, when I try and do it on a picture without doing the kind of work that I did trying to learn how to draw, well, of course it's going to end up not working. And it's a wasted opportunity because I ended up kind of pulling back and just doing something much more safe than what I was hoping to do. So I don't think I actually learned anything either. But next time. I keep saying that. It's like the saying of the night for me. Next time. 10:17. Oh, I'm lagging. I'm sorry, everybody. Need to keep moving. It's a detailed costume. That's my excuse.
Yeah, it seems to be quite a bit to it.
Yeah.
But I think we're all here for the long haul.
All right. What I'm doing when I go off, I'm squeezing this thing. You get a little more ink in the chamber. And if I try and do it, I've done this over my picture. Actually, I just did a page. I did it all the way down the whole picture. And it took forever to clean up. Like 4 passes of the Posca. It was such a nightmare. So I bring it all the way there. So if it makes a mess, at least we'll do it where I don't need to worry about it.
So Duke Comic Art says, so I dug out my Bart Sears drawing Powerful Heroes 2, and your drawing was actually a pledge level original art option. There we go.
Oh. Okay. Cool. Well, there you go.
Art of Wade King's got a super chat. What shows do you have coming up? Drag Eric with you to one.
Yeah, you should. So I know a few that I've got. I've got Toronto this year. I've got. I'm going to be in Arizona. I'm going to be at MegaCon. I'm going to be in Baltimore, New York, and San Diego.
Wasn't there one near? What was it? towards the end of the year, we were maybe gonna go to.
I'm not saying there wasn't, but
I can't remember.
I can't remember. Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah. I wanted to kind of cut down on shows this year. You can tell, obviously, that didn't work out. The one thing that I did manage to do, though, is I don't have any shows arranged for a few months. So it gives me the time. And that's really like I'm trying to take these months right now and just get everything done I need to get done. So by the time I'm doing conventions, I'll be finished with the book, and I'll have a, just a bit of a breather time.
So Wade King wants me to go to MegaCon. Hannah would be happy
to go to MegaCon,
because then she can go to Disney World.
Well, I'm going. I'm bringing Isaac, my youngest, and we're gonna.
You know that if I tell Hannah, it's going to become a solid plan.
Well, yeah. I'm gonna be there. We're gonna do Disney for a day, and then we're gonna do Universal, and then I'm gonna make him come home. I mean,
that they're they're gonna open a Universal just here close to us here
in Texas.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Truthfully, I'm not a huge fan of all that stuff.
I've never been to Universal. I've been to Disney World, but I haven't been to
It's cool. They have a Harry Potter thing. It feels like you're in Harry Potter, except for the crowds of people wearing shorts.
Yeah, it's the same as Galaxy's Edge, that Star Wars thing. You're walking around, it's like, oh man, I feel like I'm off planet, and then you see some,
some dude eating his ice cream cone.
Yeah. Well, one of the breaking the fourth wall kind of thing is, one of the rider resistance, whatever, you get captured by what are they called? First order, whatever.
Yep.
And it's like really cool and everything, but everyone's wearing masks because it was COVID. And I was like, okay, it's not really that sinister when you're seeing, this someone wearing like a blue surgical mask. But it was pretty cool. It's very
It is what it is. What are you gonna do? But yeah,
it was very, very, very well done. Sights and sounds.
Yeah, I think the last time I went it would have been probably 2018. It's been a few years. 2017 even. I don't know. It's been a bit. And my older kids are too old now. But Isaac, he's 14, and he's still, he's gonna do. I'm forcing him to do Disney a little bit because I want to go, because I want to see the Star Wars thing. That's really why I want to go. And Universal, he wants to go to because they've got all the rides. So
yeah.
We should have a good time. I'm looking forward to it. That's in March, toward the end of March. So I've got my work cut out for me to get the book finished, so I can go and not be losing time on it. Especially, going to, because it'll be, the convention, that's a good 3-4 days, and then, staying there just a little bit longer. It's so hard to find the time to do that. And unfortunately, I don't know, I might be doing it on my own with them. We'll see if I can force Meredith to come.
Yeah, I just know if I mention it to Hannah, she's.
Then you guys are in.
The tickets will be booked tomorrow.
Yeah, well, there you go. Tell me how it goes. $10:24. I'm feeling the pressure.
So I guess Greg Owl's in Florida as well. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I said if you mean Mega, what did I type out? Did I say MegaCon? I said MegaCon. Yeah. Said if you mean MegaCon in Orlando. Oh, in Orlando. Yeah. Then you got to go. It'll be cool meeting you. Yeah. Likewise. Yeah. It's always nice meeting folks from the stream.
Yep. Yeah, it really is. It's always a little surreal for me,
Yeah.
to actually get to meet some of you guys and talk to you.
Putting faces to names. And
that's right. And not always just faces to names, but because some of you guys I've met before, but I get so used to seeing you guys this way, and it's just a nice experience to be able to actually see you guys face to face and have a conversation with you. So I'll see JDSCT hopefully this year in Toronto. That's the last time I saw him. It's 2 years ago now. More, jeez. Well, anyway, it's a little while, maybe 2 years. I think 2 years.
Dan Genovese says his in-laws live in Florida, so we go to Universal when we visit. Well, time to visit again.
Yeah, there you go. I saw Dan, I want to say, was it New York? I think it was New York.
Yeah, it was New York.
Yep. Whenever fabric takes like this kind of a really crazy form, I'm always a little bit kind of just making up shapes to try and sell it,
Yeah.
Hopefully that works. Because I have no idea how it would fold around to do that, but whatever.
So at the beginning of the stream, you said you might try what you learned on Ryan Benjamin's stream. You're going to try that with the ink?
I'm going to try it, but I'm going to finish the picture first. Like once I get the gargoyle kind of blocked in, then I'm going to do all my detail and then I'll do it. We should be finished by 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, I'm fine with that. If you want to go that long.
You're fine with that. I need to go to bed. It won't take that long, but it is actually, look, I knew it's all of us here. It's just us guys and girls, but Meredith, she's sleeping. So I don't have that deadline right now, which is great. It's nice to do it with Meredith. I always miss her when she's not here, but it's nice to be able to draw until it's finished.
So yeah, MegaCon is March 30th to April 2nd.
So there you go.
I have 76 days to. Like if Hannah wanted to go to Disney World, that's 76 days of saving for Disney World.
Is that good or bad?
It's Disney World will empty your wallet pretty fast.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the number one thing that helps for me is I'll be already at MegaCon, so I won't have to pay for the flight and the hotel. That is such a nice thing about you get to a point where conventions will pay for your expenses to come to the show, which is so nice. Yeah. So otherwise, going to Disney, because we've gone a few times, it would just be it's a fortune. It's too much.
And we would definitely be flying to that one.
Yeah, it's far enough out.
Well, the drive to Tennessee was a beautiful drive, and all the trees were it was fall, and all the trees were beautiful. And
you're talking about beautiful trees. You're venturing into Meredith territory right now.
Well, it's not like I was driving to West Texas or something. It was featureful, and
yeah,
it wasn't a boring drive, put it that way. And I was playing Frogger with like 1,000 trucks, so I was definitely on my toes. But
yeah, it's always fun.
I could not believe the amount of trucks that I saw. Must have been thousands. Must have been.
So obviously, it's just a major trucking route. That's how.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whenever I drive, I always drive to Toronto if I do that show, because it's 4 hours away, and for me to get onto a plane, by the time I get there, it's like 4 hours. I'd rather be in the car. I can stop at a gas stop along the highway and get a coffee. It's nice, just get out. Anyway, so I always drive, and yeah, it's the major trucking route up into Ontario. And for those of you guys that don't know, I'm sure it's most of you, Ontario is the most populous part of Canada. I don't think I'm wrong. It is. Come on, it is. Southern Ontario. That's where I am.
Russ says he's going to Disney World this weekend, and his wallet will be emptied.
Well, hopefully he has a good time. That's great. Yeah, it's been long enough. The last time we went, there were a couple of areas of the park that were under construction, so they were kind of behind the barriers and the whole thing, and so looking forward to seeing some of it. And you know what? I'm telling you right now, I had the advantage that you don't have. I don't have any girls. You know why I say that's an advantage?
Yeah, I know why. Well, different plushies that she wants.
Okay, plushies, but also when we went, there are lines for Disney princesses.
Oh
Look,
yeah,
not
yeah,
every
yeah.
girl is into Disney, of course, but for the girls that are, and it's a lot of them, man, those lines are long. You're there
Oh
all
yeah.
day.
Yeah, she met a few of the princesses.
Yeah. I think those are the longest lines in the park.
There were some rides. We were in line 2 to 3 hours. Man,
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. If you can get the passes, do it. The lightning
What
lanes
difference
and
do
all
they
that.
make if you get a pass? Like, let's say it's 3 hours, which is like a long time. How long would it be if you had a pass?
Definitely not 3 hours. Some of them were fast, like 10, 20 minutes.
I would feel a little guilty. Don't you feel
Yes.
guilty? These people are waiting and you just
After a while, no. After a while, I'm like, no, I've stood in line for like 2 or 3 of these.
yeah.
I'm paying.
Yeah, I could just feel all the people kind of glaring at you.
Yeah, you see all the parents with this look of defeat
Oh,
on their face.
it'd be tough.
And your feet. Oh man, your feet hurt. Yeah, you gotta wear really comfortable shoes.
Yeah. Trying to quickly get in a bunch of like cracks in the stone just with a brush. The more I can do with a brush because it's fast, the better. And I'm finding this happens to me all the time. As I'm using the brush right now, I start to get more comfortable. I remember years ago somebody asking me, their teacher said you need to spend just a little bit of time before you work warming up. And I said that I thought it was bull. What can I say? Because I said, look, I don't have time. I like when I'm sitting down, I have work to do. I don't have time to, warm up or whatever. I just start working. But you know what? It's good advice because this inking right now is coming so much easier for me than when I started. And of course, I started on his face. So, would have been better off to start on something that didn't matter as much. But I'm starting to get some kind of bounce in the line that I just couldn't get earlier, So maybe I should have warmed up. I'm going to start dropping a lot of this just into shadow down here. Partly because it's easier. I mean, that's the fact is shadow makes things easier, but also I want to draw up to there and I don't want too much detail and kind of, stuff going on down here. It's like the Frank Frazetta approach. At least that's what I tell myself. All right.
Andy Skeleton, Happy New Year, Dave. Any tips on coming up with poses of my one? I'm not sure what you mean there, Andy.
Poses of what?
My one, WON.
I have a feeling that something got lost in there.
Yeah.
So if you could be a little bit more clear, yeah, I'd be happy to tell you. Okay.
I think Edward Lee deciphered it. My own. Yes, he said my own.
Oh, right. Got it. Of course. Actually, now that Edward says that just makes sense. Now I'm going to tell you, this is a question I get a lot. And the answer really is always the same because this is how you do it. But I have a video on drawing. What's the name of it? Do you remember, Eric? I can't remember, but it's drawing gesture drawing essentially for figures. And I've actually done a few videos on that. I've done a video on gesture drawing. I've done a video on looking at other artists for reference for some gestures on
Dynamic.
Yeah, dynamic figure drawing. I think that might be what it is. Anyway, the way that you learn is you first of all, now you can see this drawing here. This is a very, very simple sketch. You need to get good at drawing really simplified figures like this, where it's very gestural and sketchy. That doesn't happen right away, but you want to be able to develop that. And then you go through, look, I apologize for this all the time. I need to stop just apologizing for it, because my favorite way, and the way that I learned, is you look through comics of artists that draw figures you really like, and you copy them this way and do tons of them. And you will find you actually get a feel when you're looking at somebody's figures, or you're looking at life. You can appreciate it, but you won't learn from it. You have to do it yourself. So you have to give it a try and be willing to do those sketches, and, try figures from, Mark Spector is a big one for me, or whoever it happens to be. It doesn't matter, but you need to do that, and then draw your own. And so, spend maybe, if you can spare it, hey, great. Spend an hour a day, half an hour of that drawing sketches from different artists, maybe even 45 minutes, and then try and take what you learned and draw your own figures. It doesn't even matter how derivative they are. The point is that you're proving to yourself just how much you've internalized what you've learned. And that is how you do it. It's the only way I know of to do it. I truly don't think there is another way. But, obviously I don't know everything. I know it worked for me, so there you go. That's my answer. And yeah. And yeah, there you go. All right. A little more here. I'm going to start going a little loose down through here. Looser. And this is the nice thing about when I start to get here, I've been using the brush for a bit. So it's easier for me to just throw some kind of gestural lines and get something kind of interesting. Very difficult when I start using the brush. If I haven't done it for, like all day, I haven't really used the brush. It could be really difficult for me to get that kind of looseness to be able to do that. Okay. I'm still not done. I've got the other side. What time is it? 10:30. Yeah, we're still doing all right.
Yeah, right.
Not the end of the world.
Extreme maybe says, I agree, Dave. I've been doing what you're talking about for a few months and really feel like I'm developing my own style. Yeah, that's great.
Well, that is great.
And the very next comment is, how does someone get as good as you? That's yeah, just what Dave said.
Yeah. Well, and if you were here, this is what, half an hour ago or whatever, that I showed some of my drawing from years ago. I was no natural. I really, really was not. I do believe that, like anything, like math is obviously a lot easier if you have an aptitude for math, and maybe even an aptitude comes down to just an enjoyment of something, maybe that's really what it is to have an aptitude. But whatever it is, most of it by far, for most of us, is study. There are those people, and they exist, and there's no point pretending they don't, that just, seem to be geniuses and just don't seem to really have to put a lot of work into study. But they're few and far between. Like even Frank Frazetta, who I would classify as like an early genius. You should see like his stuff when he was, 10, 11 years old was already pretty developed. He was a prodigy. But he has, and I've got a book of a lot of his sketches. He's got tons of sketches, tons and tons of stuff, like sketch after sketch after sketch of, not published work, not pinups, just sketching figures and studying and learning. And, he went about it the way you have to. It's the only way I know. And, it worked for everyone really that has done it and made a go of it. This is how we all have done it.
You ever wonder what it must have been like for like Leonardo and those guys who they didn't have school as we had it today. They went to they just went to tutor for like the whole day and learned under a master. Then they they became a master themselves, and then they would get brought on by like royalty, and you'd paint pictures of royals. And
sounds like the greatest and worst job of all time.
But that was like full day of just art. That's it. That's all you did.
I know, but art for some of the most spoiled, self-entitled people.
Yeah.
Oh man, I could see how that could end up in a guillotine really quickly.
They don't like the way you drew their nose off of
Yeah.
your head. Yeah, for sure.
That's why John Singer Sargent was such a master. He made people look like themselves, but he made them look like idealized versions of themselves.
What happened to him was pretty sad, though.
What happened?
Well, I don't know how sad it is, but it was pretty rough. He painted a picture of a woman, and her shoulder strap fell down. Well, back then that was like really uncouth,
right?
And he got kind of hauled over the coals for that. I think he even moved countries because of that.
Wow.
Eventually,
here I am saying that he had it easy because
yeah, it was. I believe he moved countries because of that. But in the end, I mean, it all worked out. But yeah, that was just. And I think he may even have ended up fixing the shoulder strap. If Dan DeSantis was here, he'd be able to help out. But it was something like that. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was him.
Hopefully it's not on my end. I don't know. We lost Eric, or I've lost all of you guys.
I'm still here. Can you hear me, Dave? Can you hear me?
All right. If you guys can hear me, let me know, because I know I can't hear Eric.
Let's see. Okay. Steve Morris says he can. Yeah.
Eric?
Yes. Can you hear
Hello?
me? Can you hear me?
You guys can hear Eric too? I can only hear me. I don't know what happened. Darn it. Hold on. Eric, say something.
Hello.
Okay. My speaker unplugged for some reason. I thought maybe the whole stream went dead. You're still there, right?
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Here.
All right. All right. So I'm just about finished blocking in all my shadows. I think that's every time this is such a complex costume. I mean, I'm having a good time, don't get me wrong. But yeah, there's a lot to it. And don't worry, Luke, it's going to be a lot cleaner.
And we're done.
Yeah, we're just blocking in here. It's not how it's going to look.
Carlos Perez, Eric, what are you doing? Everyone's like, let's see yours, Eric. I'm just sitting here and
yeah, this is the first time we've done one where you're well, I guess not the first time.
Where I'm not sweating bullets.
But yeah, it's unusual that you're not drawn too.
Yeah, I'm just helping out with chat and yeah. Yes, I am chilling.
You can't say chilling.
Yeah, that's what the kids say.
No, it's chill in.
Oh, chill in. I gotta drop the G.
That's right. All right. Whatever. Start to put in my detail. Okay. Whew. Wish me luck. This is the kind of sketch, Eric, where I'll do a sketch like this at a convention. Somebody asks for something that is pretty complex, but I'm really enjoying. And next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. She's sleeping. I'm on the other side of the bed, keeping her awake, drawing till.
I've got a flashlight under the covers.
And once I start, I cannot stop. It is so difficult for me to stop drawing once I've started. Feeling lucky. My pen's working pretty well.
Well, you have
Sometimes,
do the PNs help you if this one gave up the ghost?
do the what?
Do the PN, the Micron PNs work?
They do. I never use them.
Okay. Then they're not as. I mean, they're. I know we both prefer the hard tip, but the PNs are really harder, right?
They're really hard, and I don't need them. Oh, you know why my pen's working so well? This is the image paper that I got from Dan.
Yeah.
Dan Fraga. Once again, thank you so much, Dan. I don't know if you'll ever see this, but if you do, yeah, this is, and for any of you guys, and I'm sure, you know, some of you guys, you missed the beginning. I'm working on, this is Image Comics paper. This is probably 30-year-old paper, and you can see the difference. This is this is new paper, and it's very white versus this, which is yellow just a little bit because it's such old paper. This is the highest quality comic paper ever made. I don't think there's anybody on earth that would dispute that. No one makes anything like this anymore. You just can't find it. So this is like gold.
And I think that's a nice bonus for Luke as well. He gets to experience the paper as well when he receives it. So
yep,
that's awesome.
It's making my pens work better too.
That's great.
And it's not just my imagination. It really, really is. I find a lot of times at conventions, I'm working on paper that I don't really love, and the PNs really work well. They kind of compensate for crappy paper pretty well. But when the paper's really good, this is the stuff. This is my favorite kind of pen to use. By the way, you guys all know this, I know for the most part, but for any of you that don't, this is a, did I just turn it upside down? No, this is a Tombow. I don't know, maybe you can read that there. It's a Tombow, whatever, I don't know, but it's a brush pen. This is a blue bodied pen with a silver bit right here, and that means that it's a harder tip. It's flexible, but it's harder. A black bodied pen with a gold bit right here is softer. Most artists that I've ever talked to like the softer one because you get more feel from it. You can get a broader range of lines. I don't have the kind of control that I'd really like to have, so I like the harder one. It really depends on your hand, and you find out if you try the soft one and you like it, you're golden. I just being a penciler for so long, and also not being the cleanest penciler. I mean, it's something I always struggle with. So yeah, I like the harder, but it's working so well on this paper.
Something I'm really far behind on is inking. Been so in the painting mode.
Yeah, well, you know what? I think I didn't really ink basically ever for years and years and years. I do think it's a good skill to have. I think that if you're learning how to draw, though, it's very much a secondary skill. Like I think when you're learning to draw, inking shouldn't even be something you're thinking about. You want to learn all of because you're learning how to pencil, form and all those things. You know what? I take that back. I mean that, but I think I mean that for probably 5 years ago. Things have changed so much, and now publishers really want artists that primarily work on the computer and do everything themselves. Mm-hmm. So you need to learn that skill. You didn't used to need to. It used to be, it'd be inked by somebody else, so you didn't really need to learn it so much. It's a good thing to learn, but it wasn't necessary. Now I think it is necessary. So it's bad advice for me. You do need
a lot easier to pay one person.
It's easier to pay. There's less FedEx costs.
Yeah.
Did I say this I think I just said this last week, but it used to be, I would draw a picture, and this is true for everybody that was working. I would draw a picture. I would send it to Marvel, 10 pages at once or 5 or whatever it happened to be. And then they would send it to the inker. The inker would ink it, send it back to Marvel. They would scan it, send that file to the colorist, and then months later, they would divide the pages. I would get my share. The inker would get their share. Things do not work that way anymore. The amount of mailing costs that went into that, it was crazy. And you know what? I don't even know that it's so much a budgetary thing as when so many people start working on the computer and just deliver files. As a publisher, how do you justify keep allowing other people to spend that much more money, you know. I think it was done when that just was the way you had to do it. It's acceptable, but now that there are easier or cheaper ways, easier too, you know, that's how they do it. It's crazy to be old enough that so many of the things that I say are like back in my day.
You walked uphill in the snow both ways.
Both ways, yeah.
I think it was you, maybe, this would have been like 10, 15 years ago, probably. I think you posted a picture on Twitter at the time where one of the FedEx deliveries with some of your art had been crushed or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So there's always the risk of losing that artwork too back then.
That was a huge rarity.
Well, that's good.
I have obviously never done this. Okay, I've done this. I have claimed that pages got lost in FedEx before. You can't, and then, so when that happens, the first thing they say is, do you have the tracking number? Obviously. And you have to
Number
say,
got lost with the.
I forgot to save the tracking number. And at that point, you think you're getting away with something. Editors are just thinking, wow, this freaking guy. So yeah, I've done that. I have never once in all the years that I've FedExed, you know, all the time, multiple times a week, actually totally lost a package. Never happened. I had them damaged, and that was a rarity, like truly rare, a couple times, but lost never happened. So, you know, props to FedEx. It's actually kind of a shame. I really like the FedEx people at our local office, and some of them have been there for years and years, and I used to see them all the time, you know, hey, how are you? And now I rarely see them, which is kind of too bad.
Yeah, so much has changed.
Yep.
Femi says, reminds me of Etrigan. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely some similarities for sure. Etrigan definitely around a whole lot longer, but yeah, those kinds of, you know, wings around the head are very reminiscent. I can see why they did it, because it's taking Wolverine's natural, you know, his the edges of his cowl and kind of making it into a bat. It's a cool design for sure. Difficult to draw panel after panel, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, you can tell how easy or difficult the characters to draw, you know, just with these live streams. Some of them, you know, I'm finished like at, you know, we start at 8 for the ones that we did at 8, and I'm finished at 9:30. You know, that's not going to be, this isn't going to be one of those, that's for sure. It's already 10:53.
Yeah, a lot of detail on this guy.
Yep. And I promised myself I'd go directly to bed after this, Eric. The amount of times I do these streams, and it's a little hard to wind down. Next thing you know, I'm up working until, because you know, I just sit down and do something else until 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm a wreck the next day. So I'm getting too old. I'm going to bed.
The nights where we've painted, I basically can't sleep for the rest of the night.
Yep.
My mind is just a million miles a minute.
Yeah, it's not good.
Luke wants to know if you've drawn Dark Claw before.
No, this is my first time.
Oh, that's great.
He was definitely a limited run character, especially Marvel got bought out by Disney. It's amazing it happened anyway, because even before Marvel got bought out by Disney, DC was owned by Warner Brothers, big corporation. And so for them to find a way to legally make this happen is pretty remarkable. But I don't see it happening now, especially Marvel and DC have such competing universes on film, on screen, and there's so much money in those things. Like I don't think that they'd be willing to do it. It'd be nice to be wrong, that's for sure. Like, it's not like I have any kind of inside knowledge on any of this, that's for sure. I don't know. But Batman Daredevil.
Yeah.
That would be good. My idea for Batman Daredevil, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Wayne gets sued, and Matt Murdock is his lawyer, and it's a court drama, So it wouldn't actually, you wouldn't see Batman in the costume. It'd be, a court drama. What do you think?
Like Law and Order.
Oh, yeah.
They have that tune, that jingle.
Yeah. Oh, that would break my heart.
Yeah, it could work. Both of them running on rooftops at night.
Look, I'm not saying. Oh, yeah. Okay, that part could work.
Yeah. But he would be representing Bruce Wayne, though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, no, he couldn't. He represents a little guy. So there's your conflict.
Oh, yeah. I think you're onto something, Dave.
It's a winner.
JDSCT. How many people immediately heard the Law and Order theme in your head? I almost hummed it. I was this close. But I chose correctly and didn't.
Yeah, I don't know what the threshold is on that, but we don't.
I'm not worried about copyright. Well, I mean, I'm worried about that too. But just making an absolute fool of myself. Humming it.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
Class action against Bruce Wayne, says Ross Klein. Murdoch's lie detector wouldn't work on bats. Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, Bruce is so calculated that his heart rhythm wouldn't.
Okay, yeah,
Wouldn't change.
Fair enough.
And then they'd both be onto each other, Well, he'd be onto Bruce Wayne. Like, why can't I read this guy?
But who even cares by that point? Because now you've already got 3 issues of them sitting in a court. This is my problem.
Man, you gotta draw a courtroom every panel.
Yeah. That is a cross to bear for anybody that draws Daredevil. I'm trying really hard to keep all of his yellow parts just completely open. I didn't do perfectly with that, but I'm trying. That's kind of the idea. I've been asked this question before, so I don't know if anybody's wondering, but if you are, this is such a common problem. I have a dark costume with light accents, and how to draw it and not, because I'm drawing anatomical shapes. Like, this is all dark and in shadow, and I've got this big bright thing here, and it's really breaking my lighting, actually. All these bright shapes really break my lighting. The only way I really know how to do it is to just allow that to happen. And then when I've got this all drawn, I'm going to go back to my thin micron, and then, do some thinner lines on it, and hopefully it won't make it confusing. That's my plan.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Get into a bit of a checkerboard thing.
Yes. And I have a dark style, so it doesn't even necessarily need to be a dark costume like this. These kinds of light and dark elements in a costume just wreak havoc for me. Or a light costume, like if somebody is just like a skin tone and they've got dark banding around, I find that it took me a long time to get kind of comfortable with how to do that without breaking my lighting.
Liger fan said, "For what it's worth, I heard the Night Court theme."
I can't even remember that anymore. It's been too long. I think I probably saw every episode of that back in the day.
Ross Limbach. Hopefully, I'm not butchering your last name. You ever try to use SketchUp for environment reference, Dave? Dave's got a very good video on
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, I've used SketchUp. I think it's great. It can, especially like if you have to draw a round room or an oval shaped room, something that's not simple perspective, it's such a great tool for those kinds of things. It can be actually a really great tool for any kind of perspective. It can also be a crutch. So, I think it's so important to be able to do that stuff on your own, and to really learn how to do it properly. So when you do use it, you're augmenting your tool set rather than allowing yourself to have a major limitation in your skill. But I don't mean that as any kind of a knock against it at all. As a matter of fact, I definitely recommend it. And not just SketchUp. SketchUp is a big one. DAZ 3D is another one. People use that for their figures. I don't really recommend that because you end up with figures, in my opinion, that can start to look very stiff and posed and bad. But people use it, and people also use that program. There are a million environments. You can pay a fortune for some of that stuff, but there are so many things. Like if you want to draw like a doctor's office, you can go there, type in doctor's office, and probably find a really detailed, high quality thing that you can just run through a 3D filter that makes it look like black and white line art, and boom, there you go, Bob's your uncle. And people do it. So to not have the ability or the knowledge that it exists, I think you put yourself at a disadvantage, which is one thing I hate about technology. Is once it exists and people start to use it, you need to compete with them. You can't let yourself fall behind. But it starts to take away from, the charm of the craft, I don't know. Wish we could all go back to the 60s.
Yeah.
I especially like the 60s. You know why? Because I wasn't born to know that it was probably awful then too.
Because what?
I wasn't born to know it was probably awful then too. Not that it's awful now, but
they were probably wanting to go back to the 20s.
Yeah, it's easy to be nostalgic about a time that you don't know the problems. But yeah, for art, I mean, how great would it be to go back to the heyday of traditional painting, oil painting for book covers, Frank Rosetta, that time.
Yeah.
I just don't see that anymore. It's a real shame. Bruce
Lugly. Hi, David and Eric. It's 1 a.m. here in Argentina. I'm inking a job that I have to deliver, and I feel accompanied watching and listening to you while you work. Great.
Awesome. Well, yeah, thank you for being here with us. It's late, but it sounds like you would be up anyway on a deadline. So yeah, it's great to have you here with us.
And apparently Night Court is getting some kind of reboot.
Oh no.
Sheldon and I think Lagerfan was mentioning. John Larroquette is going to be in it.
Oh, see, okay, well, maybe I'm on board. I like John Larroquette. Okay, so I'm bad with names, but I know the guy that was the judge has passed away.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the woman, and again, apologies, I'm terrible with names, but she was great, and I think she passed away pretty recently. Jonathan Mall, is that right? Anyway, the big guy, the guard, has been gone for years.
Yeah, it's sad seeing old folks you grew up watching and everything.
Yep. But then it could be like The Office. So I know this is going to sound really pretentious, but I went to a convention. I was talking to somebody, and they recommended The British Office, and so I got it on DVD, and I watched the whole thing, and I was a huge fan. And then there was The American Office that was going to come out, and I refused to watch it because it's just a knockoff. And I'm like, come on, this is not the real thing. So I'm that guy, that watched the original, whatever. But I hate when people do that. Oh well, And meanwhile, the American one was great. So can't prejudge.
I loved it. Maybe not the last 2 or 3 seasons, but I loved The Office.
There comes a point, even if seasons are bad, you like the characters enough, you can kind of still go with it,
Yeah, we did, but when Michael Scott left, it's like, okay, just the charm left with him,
Yeah, and really, I think the American Office was ultimately, breaks my heart to say it, but it was much better than the British one, and the British one was phenomenal. I mean, it
Never watched the British one. Know that?
Yeah, made a celebrity out of Ricky Gervais.
Yeah.
For good or ill, I guess, depending on your opinion, but he's a big deal now. I like him. I don't know about you, Eric.
Sorry, what's that?
I said I like him. I think Ricky Gervais was pretty funny.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Did you ever watch Idiot Abroad?
Idiot Abroad?
Yeah.
No.
So Ricky Gervais has got a friend of his that he always mocks. And, they're friends, but he really gives him a hard time.
He seems like he'd be a tough guy to be friends with,
Yeah. So basically, him and is it Steve Merchant? I think Steve Merchant. They're friends with this guy, so they send him all around the world, knowing that it's going to be hilarious, and they try make him as uncomfortable as possible. And the whole show is them, sending him to different places, and then it's pretty funny.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, can't remember his name. I remembered Steve Merchant's name, but I can't remember. Someone will correct me in chat or let me know.
Nobody else on earth has seen this show.
Carl Pilkington, that's his name.
Oh, so well, I was wrong.
There you go. So other people have watched it. Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then folks are mentioning, that Lisa Marie Presley just passed away. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Heard she went to hospital from cardiac arrest, and she didn't make it.
That is too bad. I did not know.
Yeah.
I mean, she's she's an icon.
Yep.
Well, that's a shame. Look, not to change the subject after this, obviously, but have you seen the Wednesday show?
Yeah, it was great.
You guys been watching that? Such a good show. So far I've seen, and I kind of was watching under protest. I mean, it's not my kind of thing. I've seen the first episode and half of the second one, and I've only seen half of the second one because Meredith, she falls asleep, so I'm watching the show and she's sleeping, and so I finally just stop it, and we would have watched more tonight, but I'm doing this, so tomorrow night we'll watch some more. Anyway, I love the show. I wanted to just keep going, but I couldn't do that to her and skip through her show without her.
Yeah, it's really good show. Really well done.
Yeah, it's so good. Really liking it.
So when you get past a few more episodes, Brooklyn can show you her art.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's a spoiler alert. I was like, I can't do that to you.
Yeah, Eric's daughter is quite the artist, and so I saw one picture that she did of Wednesday Addams, which was amazing, and she's done another one, but it's a spoiler, so I haven't seen it yet. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, she's very, very good, and she's young. I mean,
yeah, she doesn't really like me showing her how to draw something. She's like, I know how to do it. And
yep,
she goes for it.
Yeah, I think wanting to get instruction on drawing, you get there when you're older. When you're younger, you're exploring.
Yeah,
it's something that too many of us kind of lose. It's hard to maintain that kind of adventurousness.
I think they've renewed it for another season already.
They have, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got that. I've got what's the other one? The animated show, Invincible.
Yeah. Oh, when is that coming back?
Next year, I think. So it's a while.
Year. Oh man, next year.
Well, it's animated. It takes them forever to do. But the good news is at least they're going to do more.
Yeah, such a great comic, and
yep.
Yeah, and I don't know how many seasons. There has to be quite a few seasons because that was a long run,
My thinking is once they get into season 2, the show's got an audience. Apparently, it did pretty well. I think I'm liking to believe that it'll have a long run and get through the whole story. That's what I'm telling myself.
Hopefully so. Yeah, they can cover it all.
That's right.
But that'll definitely be quite a few seasons.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. So I've got another. What time is it? It's 11:10. We're lagging. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm gonna say right now by 11:30, I'll be finished with this pen, and then it'll be some detail with the smaller pen. I am actually gonna leave off my shadow on the sky. I think, Eric, because I'm afraid it's so dark, the whole figure. I'm afraid I'll bury it if I do that. What do you think?
With the like from Ryan Benjamin stream, the
Yes. So if you guys didn't see that stream, it's putting some black all around the figure and then kind of smushing it in with your finger, and you get like this really cool cloudy effect. I'm really afraid to do it. I was afraid to do it on the other picture too. So I don't know. We'll see.
I would be a bit nervous here. Just that there's so much dark already.
Yes.
And if you put dark against the silhouette of him, especially lower down, I think it'll break it.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna chicken out. If I had a way to, have a vote, maybe we could vote on it.
If what?
If I had a way to do a vote,
I can do a poll right now.
Okay, let's do a poll.
Wait, hold on. I say that. Wait, I think I know. Hold on. I think I have to.
Well, if we can.
I have to do some magic here. I'll do it.
Okay.
Let me open up YouTube. Because right now I'm not in YouTube. I'm in StreamYard.
Right.
And I'll pop the chat outs as well. Why can't I do a poll? Oh, wait. Here we go. Hold on. Okay, so should I add heavy background shadow or what?
Yeah. Close enough.
It's a simple yes or no. You know the majority are going to say yes now, right?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I think Luke's vote probably.
Henry Jeremick says no shadow.
So do you want me to ask it? I'm going to go for it.
You know what? Let's see what Luke says first.
Yeah.
Because this is Luke's picture.
So Art9 asks why no shadow. Well, the main problem is just because there's so much shadow already on the character.
Like, I do think it could work. I could also really make a mess of it, and that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Oh, well, so Luke says do it, Eric. So Luke, I guess we were asking you what you want out of the piece. I guess. Is that what you're asking? So not whether I'm doing the poll, but whether Luke.
So we have Energy Giovanni says yes on the left only. Hinny says no shadow. I'm kind of losing this. Hold on. Bar says yes. He says shadow. Captain Supercat says yes. Art9 says why no shadow.
Okay, so I started the poll. So let's
do what Eric says. Luke Forwardson. So and Neon AE says, that sucks. Extreme Maybe says no shadow. And Tomakar says worth learning. Oh, maybe. All right, you know what? We're gonna do it.
The safe bet is to do almost like Kirby Crackle, but
no, I'm just gonna do it. It's gonna work. We're gonna make it work. Worst comes to worst, I can use a little bit of whiteout too.
That is true. Is the poll working?
Oh, don't do the poll. We've already decided. We took an informal poll.
Oh, wait, hold on, David. I think Luke said he didn't win it.
Oh, really? Oh, Luke says no shadow. Okay. No shadow then.
Luke says, no, I'm nervous.
Yeah, and I honestly, I have not done it enough that I really know quite what to expect. So it's one thing to do it on a picture, like a regular Monday Night Draw. I don't mind, because if I totally botch it, well, who cares? But this is going to Luke. So yeah, you know what? We'll do it next time. There's another next time. You know what? We'll do it on a time when we're doing this together. So I'll make you do it too.
Yeah.
Share the pain with me. We're getting close. Well, we would be getting close if we didn't have a whole gargoyle to do.
Yeah, no kidding.
The gargoyle, actually, you'd be surprised that it goes a lot faster. All right. Here we go. Oh, okay. Almost gargoyle.
Go and delete the poll. Hold on. Luke says to tell for me to tell you that just do whatever you think's best. So.
You know what? I'm gonna leave it off for this one, because the chance of making a real mess, and it's a very difficult to fix mechs, truthfully.
Yeah,
So
it's so organic, and you don't have much control. Well, I mean,
yeah,
with enough practice, sure, but
yeah, I don't do it enough that I'm comfortable trashing his picture.
well, you'll drop the jar and it'll just spill all over everything.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
You know what happened to me today?
What's that?
I was busy painting that piece, and I opened up my titanium white.
Yeah.
And the bottle, like, because it's a soft body bottle, and I open it and it just splatters all over. So I had to go in and paint over stuff.
Yeah.
That was brutal. If it was like any other color, it just had to be white.
You know what? Every once in a while, you see somebody that's got like this ridiculous, elaborate kind of setup, and you're like, why would you put yourself through this much work? Well, that's always why. They had some kind of thing like that happen before, and it will never happen to them again. I've seen inkers with their ink bottle, and they've got kneaded eraser, this stuff right here, and they've got like 10 of them all in like this big mountain surrounding it, attached to the desk. It will never go anywhere.
Yeah, I was watching a video of a guy. It was so sad. Yeah, he had an acrylic ink bottle. Now, acrylic ink, you really don't want to mess around with that.
Oh yeah, that'll do some
it's
damage.
so highly pigmented, and he ended up dropping like the black on his carpet.
Oh,
it was either black or like Payne's gray or something. So he had the carpet cleaner out pretty quickly. But yeah,
I put in the floor in my office myself. It's a it's like a faux hardwood, and I dumped not acrylic ink, but actually it might have been acrylic ink, and it was blue, and I wiped it up right away, and there's a whole section of the floor that's still blue.
yikes.
But you know what? I put in a cheapo floor, and it's my office that I'm working. So I was like, yeah, it's fine. This is why a studio tour. I don't know. One of these days, yeah. I keep saying sure, but my studio is not really. It's not a showpiece.
Yeah, I've dropped paintbrushes on the carpet here before.
Yeah. You have to worry a little bit because it's not solely a studio. So.
Yeah.
Mine's in the basement. I yell at anybody that comes down here. So I'm kind of all right.
Okay, so Jerry Roscoe, I don't know how I missed this. Sorry, Jerry. Add smoke rising from behind him and then do smudge shadow at the top to balance all the dark at the bottom of the page. And then Luke mentioned maybe adding like a moon, a small moon or something. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find the original. Yeah, maybe he said, Eric, everyone is saying maybe a moon shape behind him.
Okay, I can do that. That's no problem. That's no problem. So let me finish this guy here, and then I'll do the rest of the detail. This should take me, what is it, 11:20? Should not take too much longer. I'm just gonna throw out there. It's gonna take me another 15 minutes.
Oh, that's totally fine.
Yep. And then we'll, there we go. Okay.
Jim Klein, the super chat. I didn't realize you were streaming tonight. I'm glad I caught some of it. David, I wanted to say thanks for recommending Andrew Robinson. I'm reading The Fifth Beatle, and it's incredible.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Well, good to have you here. And yeah, it's incredible. He's such a phenomenal artist.
Hopefully Jim saw the stream we did with Andrew.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. But yeah, fantastic artist.
Yes.
And Dave, you have a page from that book, right?
I do.
Yeah.
And I have a Conan cover from Andrew.
Oh, nice.
You saw it, right?
Did you show it on that stream?
Yeah.
Then I did. I remember seeing the Fifth Beatle page.
Okay. I would say, hey, I'll show you guys, but it's in my art. You know, we need to get through this. So, you know.
Yeah.
I'm finding my pen's coming out just a little thicker than I would like. And this is just, I've learned when I work at the desk, I can't get the same detail out of these pens. If I work on the couch on a lap board, I'm pointing up with my hand. So, you know, it's angled upward and it kind of drains the pen and I get much more fine lines with it.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yep. And it's not such a bad thing because it just limits a few things that, like, I would basically, what it means is if I was working on the couch on a lap board, I would be able to finish the whole picture with this pen. I wouldn't have to switch. As it is, I'll just in just a few minutes switch to my other pen so I can get a little bit of detail here and there where it needs it. You can see how much I can clean up my brush strokes that are like a real mess just by kind of finishing out the form with this thing. It makes a big difference. And some things like his arm here looks very chunky right now. I will fix it. You'll see. I hope. But it's because I'm getting a chunkier line with this. So it's going to take a few minutes of cleanup. It's like every stage is a bit of a cleanup of the last stage.
So did you say you've used some of the Tombos recently? I think you did, right?
The Tombos?
Yeah. Oh, of the Molitos, I'm sorry.
Yes, actually, yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been using them actually for my regular stuff. I'm using my Micron this time because the Tombow is somewhere over by my couch, and I had a bunch of stuff going on leading up to starting today, so I let it go. I didn't feel like searching for it.
Luke Forwardson with a super chat. Dave and Eric, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you again. Please do whatever you want with the image and stop when you want to stop. It's made my year.
All right.
Great.
Done. I'm kidding. Truthfully, I don't want to stop. It's not even a, I mean, I'm happy to do this for Luke, but I'm also having a great time. And it's so hard for me to stop once I start drawing. It's very, very difficult for me to let go. It's one thing about a live stream format that is actually kind of nice. It forces me to work a little bit more quickly and a little more efficiently. And it also forces me to stop.
Yeah, there's all the detailing that you can just keep carving.
Yeah, I put on a movie. And next thing you know, I'm putting on another movie, and I'm not paying attention to the time at all. And I can spend literally forever. I'm not thinking about the time. So, which is good, but not always.
Yeah. Blast Radius for the super chat. What do you think about Sam Keith's Wolverine run on Marvel Comics Presents back in the early 90s?
That's some of my favorite work of all time. I'm going to say my favorite inking of all time for sure. Just with texture, and I did his Marvel Comics Presents actually as a book of the week. I mean, it deserves 10 books of the week. It really does. It's some of my absolute favorite stuff. I'm a massive fan. And it's so interesting to see his development during that period. He went from, now he did other things too, but my awareness of his work really started. Actually, it started with Marvel Comics Presents, but I became a big fan. And so I started researching more of his stuff. He did a Greek mythology book with Bill Mesner-Loebs, who the writer Bill Mesner-Loebs, who ended up writing his Max book also for a while, and that was some really amazing stuff. And then he did the first artwork for Sandman. I don't know if you know that, Eric.
No.
He's the first artist on Sandman, or the first. Look, I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm pretty sure he was the first one on Sandman before he kind of switched over to Marvel. In a lot of ways, he was a more natural DC artist. You remember Kelly Jones saying that he's a more natural DC artist. But his stuff just ended up working at Marvel too. It'd be so interesting to see Kelly Jones do more Marvel stuff, because he is a natural DC artist. But I think he'd be really interesting on some pretty wild stuff over at Marvel.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was great hearing from him.
Yep.
Captain Supercat says he gets credits on the TV show.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there you go. Definitely he would be the first artist then, because he would be getting credit for a lot of his I shouldn't say definitely. I've gotten credits on shows where I haven't been the first artist. I just did a bunch of stuff, and who knows what criteria goes into selecting that.
I guess if they take inspiration from any of it, they'll add your name to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how much more Marvel stuff can come out where I would get a credit.
Yeah, you were credited on one division, and I think that's due to the comic you were referencing earlier, right?
Yeah, and the last Doctor Strange movie, and both of the last Avengers movies, like the Endgame, and and that's because I did Avengers, and so a lot of stuff was that's some of the stuff that they were referencing. But it's been a long time since I did Avengers, so any new stuff I wouldn't think that I would get a credit for. But it was cool to get it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Must be a good feeling.
It is, yeah. And then you brag to people about it, and they don't care. Nobody cares. Okay, yeah, good for you. That's great. Whatever. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, seeing the pictures too from when you went to the premiere.
Yeah, just
Red carpet there.
I think it was it in May or June?
Something like that. Yeah. So Jim Klein says, I can confirm Sam Keith was the first artist on Sandman. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it seems to be such a little known fact, you know. He's not really associated with Sandman that I know of, or you know, my impression is that he's not. Maybe that's kind of a wrong impression. Also, he blew up so big over at Marvel with his Wolverine stuff and some of that work that
kind of overshadows.
Yeah, I think that's what people really remember him for. And the Max.
Mm-hmm.
You remember Darker Image? I don't know if you remember that.
No. I need to check. I need to see if I have that Wolverine. Can't recall. I'm gonna have to go look.
Yep.
Getting harder and harder to find some of the older books.
Oh, I know.
I've tried to get as many book of the week books as I can. Running out of book space, shelf space.
Well, and so many of them, I tried to find some more obscure stuff that people wouldn't be as aware of. So they're not the easiest to find. Like I don't know where I'd ever replace some of them.
Yeah, I managed to get the Slain ones and
some
of the really harder stuff to get. So I was pretty happy about that. Some of the Claire Wendling books.
I'll push this side back just a little bit here. Yeah, I wanted to get Claire Wendling stuff so badly that I ended up buying her. She did a comic. It's in French, so I can't remember the name of it.
Lights of the Emalu.
There you go. Thank you. I bought it twice in different formats because I wasn't 100% sure that it was the same. And I'm like, if there's even a remote chance that it's different, I needed to have it.
Yeah, I managed to get the English version. But she's got a whole bunch of sketchbooks and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite sketchbook of hers, I gave to my niece a couple years ago, so I need to replace it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the website to get them, but
yeah, she's an artist that I think we could all agree it would be nice if she'd do a little bit more work.
Yeah.
So many incredibly talented artists just kind of stop, which is such a shame.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Jim Murray, and I mean, I know he's still doing art, right? For what's the company? Is it Blizzard?
If not Blizzard, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see more of his paintings and.
Yep.
Okay. Travis as well, right?
Yeah, Travis too, and he's doing a little bit more stuff. I saw he was on something. All right, grab my detail pen here, and I'm gonna try and bring some of this down so it meshes in without killing it off the picture, and see how that works. I think it works. I'm gonna continue my shadow here. I think it works. I didn't even try some of the lines on the face. I really thought, okay, I'm better off to just leave this. So I did try to make a conscious decision places where I thought there's no way I'll get the detail with that pen. And it's amazing how much I can just lengthen a couple of these lines and clean them. And it really, I know this is a little small on the screen, so it's probably a little difficult to see the difference. Let me zoom in. Can I? I can. Come on. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to take some of these lines, and I'm taking what's there and just kind of bringing it out just a little bit, and it,
shaping them a bit.
Yep. Places where things start to get a little bit sloppy. I'm going to do the arm in just a second, and I don't really need to do a huge amount. Just a little bit really makes a big difference in bringing it together. If I was to do all of these lines with this tiny little pen, the whole thing would look very finicky.
Yeah, it's a really odd look, right? Even it's the feathering is just too thin for the shadow.
Yep. And I can do that, but you can see it takes kind of time to build up a render line with this. Like I need to, like here, I'm gonna soften these just a bit. And then bring up some lines this way, which I wanted to avoid doing because when my lines are a little thicker, cross-hatching can really start to build up.
JDSCT has a super chat. Hey Dave, tomorrow's Friday the 13th. Do you ever take your bike up to Port Dover?
I never have. I'd like to. Now, not this Friday the 13th. It'd be way too cold here. I'm pretty sure I'd be the only one there. But yeah, it'd be pretty cool. Look, I'll say this. I love riding my motorcycle. We do Hogs for Hospice, which is hospice is like a children's charity, and we do that every year. So your entry fee for it is what, is your donation. And this past year it was 2,000. It was over 2,000 bikes, which, I mean, when you see that many bikes all riding in a row, like it was massive. It was really great to see. But I don't know if I'm really the right person to be going to some of these biker kind of things. Like I don't know, that's really my scene, Eric. I'm not much of a tough guy, ultimately. As I sit here with my skull ring on.
Yeah.
It's all for show.
Was your initiation ring or something?
Real tough guys don't wear skull rings. And so what I'm doing, I'm just kind of going through, and any place where I feel like it looks just a little chunky or the details kind of missing, I can just go ahead and just kind of fill it in without getting too carried away. So I don't want to, like here, I can actually continue the shadow out and just do this, which I did on the body too. And I think that works. I like that. I'm going to leave that alone. This part of the arm really needed a lot of work. I was getting too chunky, and I think I went a little too far with some of the lines, not really realizing that it wasn't quite working. It was just looking too chunky. So I can fix that up quite a bit with this.
Yeah, it's really helpful to see.
Yeah, and here I'm just gonna kill that back, and you see how much that cleans that up. And let me just soften these lines. Places where it just got to be too much. And here I'm gonna finish out some of these. There. Here, like this got messy. I also have the option of whiteout, but I don't really need to resort to that very often. Like this just really helps clean things up.
You've only used whiteout once tonight.
Toward the beginning, just some draw over. Like I had this behind his leg was conflicting. So yeah, a few places. But yeah, I don't need much there to start to give it a lot more subtlety and just clean things up. I also can do this. Double my line, and it kind of makes it different.
The client says the Phantom, come on, Dave, the Phantom wears a skull ring and he's a tough guy.
There you go. See. I actually got this at Hogs for Hospice. One of the vendors had a bunch of rings. I got this one and a couple other ones. I got this massive chunky one. It was awesome, but it was a little big. kind of hard to walk around with. Like some of these huge pewter rings are a little much, but it looked pretty cool. See, this is the kind of thing, Eric, that you can do when you don't have a real job.
What's that?
Walk around all day with one of these kinds of rings on.
Yeah, it's a huge market for them.
There is, yeah. Well, my buddy that we rode together. We rode, actually, we were in a group of a bunch of us, but the one that I'm closest to, he got a couple of rings too.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't wear them. He can't. He's got a proper job. All right. Now it's trying to resist the urge to clean up every single line like perfectly, because it's not necessary. It's okay. I'm gonna do some more on here, and then what else did I say I was gonna do? Oh, a moon. And then we'll do a moon, and we can all go to bed. All of us that are still here. I always imagine by now that there's like 5 of us left. Has Lance DuBois gone to bed yet?
Sure, Lance is in here somewhere. Tomic's still here.
Tomic's here yet?
Bunch of folks still here. Sheldon, Artnon, Simon,
Oh, look at that.
Everyone. Some new folks, some old, still 300 strong, JDS, he said.
All right.
Andy Skeleton, Artful Notion, yeah, a lot of folks. Dennis Kelly says present. I read it as present. I don't know if you ever watched that. Do you ever watch that?
Present?
It's a Key and Peele skit. Oh, it's so funny.
I never really watched P and Keel. I just said that wrong.
Key and Peele.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I never really.
Oh man, they got some funny sketches.
I much more know. It's Jordan Peele, right?
Yeah, Jordan Peele, and
for his horror movies, because it's kind of more.
Yeah,
weird.
yeah.
Like, I want to say Knives Out. It's totally different.
Yeah, Knives Out is different. You think of like Nope and.
It's one of the guys that are wearing the orange suits, and they've got the they got the knives. Anyway, it's such a good movie. Or Scissors. It's not knives, it's scissors.
Us. You thinking of Us or Get Out?
Get Out.
Get Out, yeah.
Is that right? I think that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I always think of Knives Out as well, but that's different.
Yeah, well.
That's a good movie. You know that I haven't watched Get Out. I haven't watched Us. I haven't watched Nope.
You haven't watched any of those?
Pretty sure I'm missing out.
You are. They are so well done. They're really good.
Have you watched Nope as well?
No, I haven't seen that one yet. Nope.
Nope.
I'm actually a little behind. I haven't seen a lot of movies lately. I had Shudder, the streaming service, and they had a lot of good stuff. And then they just went so weak for a while. Like the stuff coming in, I just wasn't really into. And so I finally got frustrated and canceled it. Now I already regret it.
Yeah, I got a lot of catch up to do. I mean, I hadn't even seen Knives Out, speaking of which. I loved that. Oh, you need to watch Bullet Train.
I have watched Bullet Train.
Oh, did you like it?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, it was awesome. Oh, I think we spoke about it, right?
Did we? I don't know, but yeah, it
No, at
was.
first I thought it was like a Guy Ritchie film, but it wasn't. It reminded me of. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it.
Yeah, it was great. It was a good movie.
And then Glass Onion, I think I spoke to you about. Yeah, you hadn't watched that yet, right? Or have you?
No, I haven't watched that one yet. That's the new Knives Out,
Yeah. And
essentially, right?
That's got Edward Norton in it, yeah.
Right, yeah. Haven't seen that yet.
It's not a continuation, it's self-contained, but yeah, it's same kind of premise, yeah. Yeah, everyone agrees Bullet Train was a lot of fun.
Yeah, really unexpected. I went into that completely cold. I had no idea. And when it started, I thought, oh no, it's going to be one of those kind of, Walter, a little bit too cool for, but it pulled it off so well.
Yeah, I had totally written it off. I thought it looked. I watched the trailer and I was like, "What is this goofy?" It just doesn't look. My sister watched it. You have to watch it. So
yeah,
watched it and absolutely enjoyed it.
Yeah, it really was great.
Yeah, everyone liked Glass Onion too.
Oh yeah, okay, well, because I like Knives Out.
I'm not so sure it's as good as Knives Out. I mean, it's always hard to compare to the first kind of installment like that, but it was still good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Rian Johnson, who definitely did a more divisive Star Wars, but
yeah,
with his own stuff, seems like everybody loves it.
Yeah.
Time is it? 11:47. I'm falling behind. Dang it.
It's the gargoyle.
I am almost finished though. Every time I give a time estimate, I'm blowing past it.
Oh wow, he did Looper. JDSCT said Looper was his best film. I had no idea that was him.
That was Rian Johnson?
Huh.
That was a great movie.
Yeah.
No wonder they gave him a Star Wars
watch
project.
that again. What's that?
No wonder they gave him a Star Wars project, Seems like a...
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
Yeah, who knows what constraints he was under? Like, you don't know what goes into a movie like that. But yeah, he is very, very good. You've never seen Looper?
No, I have. It was just,
Okay.
it's been a while, and I probably need to watch it again.
Yeah, it's been a while for me. I think that's one I would watch again. All right. Okay, I'm gonna do this hand, and then we'll do the moon. You guys are not going to be surprised by this moon if you saw my Werewolf by Night picture.
Yeah.
I still have the same bowl on my desk. It's just sitting right there. So we'll give that just a little bit of detail in there. Because otherwise it looks like just a blank spot. All right, let me zoom back out here.
Now it's come together nicely.
Well, thank you. Okay. Get my moon template.
Imagine there was coffee in there. Glass Onion, Looper.
Move my microphone. Hold on. Need to stand.
So he's only done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 films, really?
It's not much.
No. He's done. Oh wait, no, there's more. Ninja Co, Evil Demon, Golf Ball from Hell. What?
Everybody's got to start somewhere.
97, yeah.
See if I can lift my camera just a little higher so you can see more of it. Okay. Problem is lifting my camera a little higher. Now you can see how all the paint splatter and everything all over my desk.
Yeah.
All right. This is such a technique that I learned once years ago for how to pull off a moon, and I just do all the time. And I do this because the alternative, if I was to go in here and draw craters and actually push it, because I've done that before too, it ends up looking so distracting having this really rendered out moon.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't want just a circle. You want some detail, but I keep it really thin and light, and it works. It takes like no time to do. You just have to, the biggest challenge is being not being random with your shapes. So you're not drawing too many of the shapes that are kind of the same size, same placement. That takes a bit of practice, but that's really all it is.
Yeah, that works so well.
Now that I'm talking about it, though, I'm actually a little self-conscious.
You're thinking about it.
Yep.
Well, going back to Ryan Johnson, so Brad Static said he directed the best episode of Breaking Bad as well. So I Googled it. He did 3 episodes in Breaking Bad. So now I need to see what episode Brad Static's talking about.
I want to watch Breaking Bad again and only watch the scenes with Saul Goodman. And,
yeah. Did you finish Better Call Saul?
Not yet.
Oh,
so don't spoil it. But
so good.
Yeah, I want to watch that. All the Saul Goodman and all of the Mike Troutman.
Mike Ehrmantraut?
That's what I said.
Troutman.
That's what I meant anyway. Ehrmantraut, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breaking Bad's great. I can rewatch that over and over. Me. Yeah.
I'm gonna fix his eyes just a little bit. I feel like they got just a little small.
Nick Barucci is here.
Hey, Nick Barucci. Oh, thank you so much for coming by. It's been a little while. I haven't seen Nick for a bit. And I haven't seen Nick at shows. I thought, I'll see Nick a bunch at conventions, but some of the bigger shows like New York, they're just so big and so busy. But hopefully this year we'll get a chance to catch up a little bit. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. You guys all know Nick is the publisher of Dynamite Comics.
He says it's been a bit crazy, and he misses you, brother.
Yeah, me too. It's definitely been crazy here. I was just saying earlier, and I announced earlier that I'm going to be slowing down live streams for a little bit. I've got a book that I'm just about wrapping up, and just in order to get finished, I'm gonna have to kind of devote time to it. So things have definitely been crazy here for sure. But yeah, hopefully things are good with Nick and Dynamite and everyone there. I think that works well enough.
Yeah.
I'm still worried about the shadow really conflicting badly. I think it's okay. It's okay. All right.
Great.
So let's spend another half an hour just doodling on this because I can't let go. I'm going to have to let go.
The last percent of the 99%. It's another 99%.
Yeah. Half the time goes into, 0.1% of the results. All right. We're going to wrap it up there.
Yeah, it looks really, really nice.
Well, thank you. And thank you very much, Russ. I really appreciate it. And Nick says, doing well. Thank you for asking. Love seeing Meredith's updates on the farm. Yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along fast. Too fast. So, yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. I hope everybody has a great night and a great week. I'll see you guys pretty soon. We'll keep you guys updated on when we have the next live stream coming. I'd like to ideally do the next one with a guest and do something like that. But I'm not sure yet. I don't know quite what we have planned, but we'll have something fairly soon. So be sure to check back on the community page, and we'll let you guys know. Great spending another night with you guys. Now I'm rambling. I do this every time, Eric.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, really.
I need Meredith to cut me off at the end of this. All right. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.